Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. Hopefully everyone is having an awesome Thursday out there. I got some good news, and, well, I think I really only have good news here on today's show. If y'all want to see Jeremy Chugs, spam Chugs down below, my man. He is back. He is happily married. He will be telling us about how the wedding went. I want y'all to hear from his side point in terms of how the dancing went. But I want to know from everybody, where are you watching from? And I need 1,000 chugs down below. Woo! Let's get it going.
Woo! Let's go.
It's good to have you back, man. It's good to have you back.
Hey,
I got King, Angel, Ryan, Cloud, Richo. What up, Sherry Lynn, Elroy? How you feeling? It's good to be back.
I'm feeling good.
What was the highlight of the whole weekend?
The highlight of the whole weekend? Ooh, I mean, besides my wedding, I would say on Saturday we got a cabana with all of our friends and family and everything.
Yeah.
It was like this double-decker cabana, and on one side was the pool, and we had people like bringing us drinks every like 10 minutes, and then the other side was the beach and the ocean. And yeah, that day was
a day.
That was a day.
That was a day.
That was a day.
That's a freaking marathon. Appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning into the Raiders Report. We got a fun show on tap. We will get into the latest going on around the NFL Combine. I've had a few people ask me, Mitch, who are the players, prospects that have met with the Silver and Black? We kind of have a Combine tracker of sorts. I'll tell you who the Raiders met with yesterday, who they met with today, and then a lot of guys have their eyes on Maxx Crosby, and Crosby's doing a lot of the right things on the field, off the field, but it's good to see that there's young players that are also noticing and looking up to him, so we'll talk about some of that stuff. Aidan O'Connell, he cannot be the Raiders starting quarterback, and finally...
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah, I know. I've probably never said that before on the show. And finally, I have put together a list of every single quarterback that I believe is better than AOC. But on top of that, Antonio Pierce this week said Aidan is the Raiders starting quarterback until he's not. However, if you go and you look at some of the quotes of what AP said, I have never been more confident that Aidan O'Connell is not going to be the Raiders starting quarterback this upcoming season. Then, the final thing. Then, Raiders trade targets. There's been a lot of buzz at the NFL Combine, and we got our chat sports team out there, and just like any event, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of reports, and there's a lot of things that honestly don't go on social media or things that don't go on television and things that aren't reported. So based off some of the conversations, based off some of the Combine buzz is what I'll call it, I got some players that the Raiders could potentially target in a trade that our team has been hearing or has at least been linked to some trade rumors. So we do have a jam-packed show. On top of that, I have to get out of here probably in about 2 hours. When I say probably, I got to get out of here in 2 hours.
It's your first ever anniversary.
My first ever anniversary, yes. Leap year anniversary for Alex and I. I have dinner reservations that I cannot be late for. I'm also telling y'all right now, I'm not drinking today, and I mean it. I don't care if somebody makes me hit the gong. I'm not drinking today.
Well, I never said that.
We will drink tomorrow. At least I will drink tomorrow. If Chugs wants to have a few, hey, he can. But Alex will end my life in our relationship if I show up even a little bit tipsy to our 4-year anniversary dinner.
I'll do $100 beer bongs.
Yeah? $100 beer bongs from Chugs.
And if we get enough, obviously, it's a boot.
Oh, man. I'm worried for you then, because we also have, today's the final day of our February bang race. For those that do not
totally
know.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, our final day of the bang race, which Lord Cameron Abbott, he's in first place with 28. Triban with 20. Abjin 14. Urza Alvarado's got 13. Sam On, who went nuclear on Monday, which I was telling you about before we went live, he's at 8. Ryan Campbell 3. And then we got a bunch of people at 2 and 1. Whoever is the February bang MVP, we are going to send you this jersey signed by Jeremy Chugs and I, which right now it looks like it's going to be going to Lord Cameron Abbott.
Oh.
One of the questions that I have, since a lot of the positions that are testing today is defensive tackles and linebackers, if I were to ask all of y'all, will the Raiders draft a DT before round 4, I think the majority of people that are watching the show would say at least yes or I hope so.
They better.
They better, right? If you don't address it in free agency, you better. And I think even if they go out and they sign a big-name DT, I'm still on the board for trying to find one in those first 4 rounds. However, a lot of the buzz that I've been hearing around the combine is the Raiders are looking for really solid athletes. And I know it's probably a no-duh thing, but freak athletes at the linebacker position that can also potentially play edge. And when you look at a lot of the dudes that they have met with, at least that they met with yesterday, are probably linebackers that are going to go in the top 4 rounds.
Yeah.
And it's a position that I don't really think many people believe, all right, the Raiders are going to go, they're going to take a linebacker early on.
And it's such a weird position in this draft because it's like, there's not anybody that's like, head and shoulders above everybody else, and you're like, that's a must-get linebacker. There's a couple guys who, Trotter out of Clemson, Wilson out of NC State are 2 guys that are being floated as guys that are rising up draft boards, but there's not like can't-miss prospect at linebacker. There's just a lot of good linebackers. Like,
yeah, I don't think there's a single linebacker that goes in round 1, and that's not a hot take at all. If a linebacker does go in round 1, I would be shocked. And if an LB does go, it means the team's probably going to use him as an edge, not so much as a linebacker. But will the Raiders draft a linebacker before round 4? Give me a yes. Give me a no. I see Gray 420 says yes.
I know Rob Leonard worked with a couple guys at the Senior Bowl.
Yes. And there's one name that when you have like meetings and stuff, right? Obviously that shows that the Raiders are at least interested in somewhat of that player. There is one player that I am being told or hearing a lot more about, that there's a certain linebacker in this year's class that the Raiders are targeting.
Oh.
Maybe a little bit more some of the others, and I'll tell you who that is near the end of today's show because he was a linebacker that the Raiders ended up meeting with. What up, Yoda Jenkins? James Williams says yes. Celesbo says no. Joe Gatlin's going to go yes. Martin probably yes. I see Diablo there down in the chat. Cloud, as always, appreciate you guys tuning in. We got 470 people watching the Raiders Report. If you haven't already, make sure you click that like button. It helps out Jeremy and I. It definitely helps out me. And now that Jeremy's back, here's the thing. If I'm Jeremy, I'm like, I want to make sure that our live show numbers are better with him than when we had Trizzy Trace.
Yeah,
Chip, you gotta be competitive here.
And apparently, there's a new chugger in town.
Oh,
everybody was saying, "Oh wow, you've got some competition." Oh, that guy who everybody calls Moose.
Yeah, well, I've only heard one person call him that for the record. So, but Cullen's a real one, man. The nation was having a good time with Cullen. What up, John? Remember, if you guys want to get those questions, comments here on the show, 2 ways to do it. You can use hashtag Raiders down below, which Jeremy will put up here on screen, or if you want to skip the line, super chat like John did. Chugs, it's great to see you back again. Look a lot thinner from doing all those horizontal calisthenics. Congrats, Chugs. I think he's talking about your other favorite part of your wedding.
Oh,
the other favorite part of your wedding.
Yeah. That's why we did it at the beach.
You got to share the video tomorrow. I want you to get just some sort of a clip of your dance moves, because I showed Alex, and I think I told you this when we were on the phone or texting. I don't remember what it was, but she saw your dance floor, and she's like, we have to get this dance floor. And I was like, we got to get those dance moves.
Oh, I'll be available for anybody's wedding if they want me to come and dance. That's all I'm saying.
You just can't bring cake. I would say be careful on that one, too. I bet you there are people right now, like I've had a few Raider fans ask me, like, would I come to their wedding? Which, I feel like if I did, if you got invited to a Raider fan's wedding, okay, would you bring Danny or would you bring me as your plus one? Because I'll tell you this right now, I would bring you, but I would hear a shitstorm from Alex. It would be a disaster. A disaster.
It depends.
Okay, I'm listening.
I'd probably take you.
Rebel said I'd bring Marsh.
Well, that makes sense. You bring your son.
Yeah, exactly.
Rage Raider coming in. I'm huge on Wilson at linebacker. He's fast and
wow. I'm not going to lie, with that N near the it's hard. I was like, woo! Fast and his nuts are hard. First thing that I read. Hey, Raiders against the world, am I right? I will admit, I think you're talking about Peyton Wilson, linebacker from NC State, and to me, he's like what I look for in a prototypical linebacker in a Patrick Graham system. He is long, he's lanky, super athletic.
Pause.
It kind of reminds me of, and I'm really mad that his name's escaped me. Who was the UDFA linebacker from NC State last year that the Raiders got? I'm literally, like, to me, he's the way more athletic version than him. He's a hard-nosed player. It's going to drive me nuts. You guys know who the hell I'm talking about? Is it Drake?
Yes.
Well, what's his, I can't think of the full name. No, it's not that. To me, though, Wilson is a player that's got everything that you look for in a linebacker.
Drake Thomas.
From
NC State
From
as
NC
well.
State. No, like, also a captain. Like, teammates loved him, had an unbelievable motor. The biggest red flag, though, on Peyton Wilson is his inability to stay healthy. And Tom Telesco, one of the things that he spoke about on Tuesday was the number one thing that he looks for at the combine is the medical to end up checking out. And we'll see if it does end up checking out. One of the topics that we're going to be discussing today here on the Raiders Board is Aidan O'Connell. And I'll be real.
Just first day back, chose violence.
I did. Is Aidan O'Connell a top 32 quarterback in the NFL? If the answer to that is yes, then type yes down below. If the answer to that is no, I want you to type no below. But I also want you to go above and beyond and say, okay, where does he rank?
Is he top 40? Is he top 50?
The amount of times I have brought this question up, right, and the amount of times that I have discussed Aidan, today and I sat down with a few people here from Chat Sports, people that I respect in their football mind, and I said, is Aidan O'Connell better than this person? Yes or no? Is Aidan O'Connell better than that person? Yes or no? Is Aidan better than this person? Yes or no? And we essentially put together a list of quarterbacks that we believe are better, or that I would rather have as the Raiders quarterback than Aidan, right? Like, I am just looking at it as which QB is better. But let's see what you guys have to say. Jason says no. Jamal says no. He just says 37. Dodgers Everything says he's top 100. I'll get on board with that. He's definitely top 100.
I would say so.
William Vernoy Jr. says number 45. King Shab's going to go with 35. Franzi Vargas, 38. No, he's top 40 from JB. Barely yes from Raider Sancho. Rebel Montana says by default. Top 64 for Adrian. 38 again from Terrell. Damn, that's what's up. What's up, Boogie? We got 500 people here down watching the show. If you haven't yet, seriously, click that like button. It does help us out quite a bit.
Queen Sarah Auto is going to find you.
Queen,
she knows where you live.
I haven't seen the Queen for a few days, so I hope that she's okay. I also haven't seen Buddy Bear for a few days. I got a few other jerseys that I'm going to be rocking here on today's show, so be on the lookout for your jersey if you want. Is this your answer? How about
no?
No.
Well, this would be your answer.
Oh, I didn't know that you were going to do that. How about no? You should do that. And then this one, I guess. No. I'll be real. I didn't know Jeremy was going to do that, and he didn't show me the graphics, so it is what it is. Nico, what's up, Nico? Jose Corona, Mickey Camacho.
Nico, I was looking for that tequila. They did not have it at the airport.
Yeah, these guys were throwing out tequila names that I've never even heard of. That day that you called in and were asking.
Yeah, it's in a small village in in southern Mexico, and you have to find it just by this one guy who lives near a shack. He's selling it. Only makes 50 bottles a year. Could you get that?
He's in a yellow poncho. His name's Hank. He'll take you to the tequila layer. Does anybody know where that skit's from?
Once you've hit the railroad, you've gone too far.
Whopper, no onion. All right, y'all, so let's get into our first segment today, which is going to be around Antonio Pierce talking about Aidan O'Connell. And when I have made a lot of takes on this show, and I'm not afraid to put my foot in the dirt, in the grass, or whatever, I guess the carpet here for our studio's sake. And I've not been afraid to plant my flag on the idea of Aidan O'Connell is a great human being. He's a backup quarterback in the NFL. And I think just based off of some of the things that I've heard in the last 24 hours, I'm actually very confident. I don't know if I've ever been more confident that Aidan is not going to be the Raiders starting quarterback in 2024. He's still going to be on this team. He deserves to be on this team. However, there is a group of fans that believe Antonio Pierce said that Aidan is going to be the starter. So coming up here on today's show, we're going to squash all those rumors there. I'm going to show you what Antonio Pierce said, And I'm going to tell you what I think about it, because if you're a head coach, if you're a GM, you don't want to reveal maybe your entire game plan going into free agency in the draft. Like, that's a very reasonable thing. However, Antonio Pierce, let me know if you agree with this. Y for yes, N for no. He's always been somebody that whatever he thinks, he says. Like, he's not afraid to tell it to you how it is.
He wears his heart on his sleeve.
That's probably the better way to do it. And in the quotes that you're about to see, he's kind of doing it, but he's also not telling you the entire story. But when you actually look at the quotes themselves, I can pick out a few things. I'm like, I mean, he's telling you right there that Aidan's not going to be the starting quarterback. Let's go to
Mitch.
I've already seen 2 different pictures of this. I'm trying to figure out where the actual picture is from. I don't think that I can even say my own name here in this situation. I heard the Patriots will pick a quarterback at 3. I really want Jaden Daniels. Really hope we get an elite quarterback. I obviously want Jaden too. However, we are going to talk about a report that came from the Athletics' Jeff Howe around the idea of the Patriots keeping their number 3 pick and selecting a quarterback. And Howe is one of the more credible people out there in the New England realm, if you will. Here's the thing, though. Anything can happen. Anything can happen all the time, and that's just part of it. And they might end up taking a quarterback. That doesn't mean that it's going to be Jaden Daniels. I mean, there's still an opportunity, a chance
with the
that
third
Jaden's
pick
available.
In the 2024 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select J.J. McCarthy.
I'm not kidding.
Quarterback, Michigan.
If that ended up happening,
Jack in the back, just
literally, he'd be jacking up in the back.
I mean, JJ to New England, I think Jack would explode through the ceiling.
There's a good chance. And also, then there's going to be somebody else doing Patriots videos, too.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
All right, y'all. Let's get into our first segment on today's show. Kings A, Zach Ruiz, Azell, Unknown Raider Guy, Agent Red, all here down below.
But wait. We have 156 likes.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Can we get to 160 likes before we start the show?
I mean, based off of
I
think her name's Angel. I think she would want 169 based off the comments.
Can we get to 169 likes?
I mean,
we're 12 likes away.
If you're going to throw some hearts, 1, probably don't do it on my anniversary day. 2, spell my name right. I don't know why.
It's Christina! You get my wife's name right.
Do you know how many people I've seen spell my name, which R-E-N-T-Z? Does it sound like that? Is there a T in my name? Does it sound like that? I don't know. Like, Renz isn't a common last name. I know that. But it's not like you guys, 1, don't see it up on screen. 2, I say my social media handle, there. I feel like all the time. Wait. What up, Joe? What up, Hold? Adrian Cloud. We just hit 218 likes. I think that's going to make Jeremy very happy. Coming up right now, we got some major Raiders rumors around Antonio Pierce and him wanting a franchise quarterback. Unfortunately for you Aidan O'Connell fans out there, it's not going to be him. Antonio Pierce wants the Raiders to find a franchise quarterback, and I'm here to tell you it's not going to be Aidan O'Connell. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up here on today's show, I'm going to be looking at the latest quotes from the Raiders head coach, and I'm going to tell you what my opinion is on it, because I know what AP said. I know that Antonio Pierce said that right now this job is Aidan O'Connell's job to lose. My response to that is, well, no shit. Like, what do you expect your head coach to say? And now I feel like there is a group of Raider fans, which is totally fine. We can agree to disagree, and I'm just going to simply disagree, that think that Aidan O'Connell is going to be the Raiders starting quarterback in 2024. I am standing up here looking at all of you in the eyes right now saying, I have never been more confident that the Raiders are not going to have AOC be their starter this upcoming season. So if you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, Pierce spoke to the media on Wednesday, and when I say spoke to the media, this was not really out in the front of everybody. It was more in a back room where he was talking to a few of the Raiders beat reporters, and they kind of put out some of the things that he said. And AP did say that it is Aidan's job to lose. Pierce believes O'Connell will handle the competition well. Earlier this offseason, O'Connell even spoke about that he was 100% open and okay with the idea of the Raiders adding a quarterback because he thought that the competition would help overall. To me, this is just Aidan doing a much better job than I think a lot of Raider fans out there of looking in the mirror. I want him to have confidence, and I think he is an incredible young man. He's going to have a long NFL career as being a backup in the league. But Aidan's also looking in that mirror going, I'm not a starting quarterback in the National Football League. However, I think a lot of fans out there believe that he is. However, what do we do here? Yes, no, get down in the comments right now. Will Aidan O'Connell be the Raiders' starting quarterback in 2024? For every single person that comes across this video, if you're saying yes, I want you to watch it till the end. If you're saying no, then I want you to share this video on IG, share it on Facebook, share it out there because I do believe more people need to see this, more people need to hear about it, and it has nothing to do. Like, there's nothing that grinds my gears more than when I see somebody go, Mitch, you rip on Aidan O'Connell, it means you don't like him. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I feel like anytime I hear that, I just feel like I'm talking to a little whiny 12-year-old. Be an adult. Let's have an adult conversation. There is nothing above the shield, and just because I don't view Aidan O'Connell as a starting quarterback doesn't mean that I don't love the Raiders. Doesn't mean that I don't like Aidan. It's me keeping a buck with you. And if I had a kid, if I had a parent, I would want the most important people in my life to tell me exactly how they feel. And in fact, that's why one of the reasons why I respect Antonio Pierce as much as I do. So yes or no, you probably have gotten my answer by now. If Aidan O'Connell is the Raiders starting quarterback in 2024, then Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco failed this offseason. And I don't care what else they do in free agency. I don't care what the draft looks like. The number one most important position, maybe in all of sports, is finding yourself a franchise quarterback. And based on the comments that Antonio Pierce has said, the Raiders are looking for a franchise guy. The unfortunate thing is listen to this. It's not going to be Aidan O'Connell. We good? We got it figured out? I sure hope so. So again, we're going to be rolling through all of these things in terms of what Antonio Pierce has said, which has made me believe what I am sitting up here and telling you right now. And anybody can look at a quote and they can look at it a whole bunch of different ways. But I know we've been adding tons, and I mean tons and tons of new people that have been watching the show. And March, I'll tell you this right now, March is the most fun month for me personally here at Chat Sports because you got free agency, you got guys signing left and right. The craziest shows that we have ever done, shows that when I tell people like what I do that don't know what I do, a lot of the times I'm like, yo, we went wild Kenyon Drake when he signed with the Raiders, when the Raiders traded for Devontae Adams. Like, those are the legendary shows that I remember. And if you're like, well, bitch, why should I subscribe? You're going to get videos every single day here on this channel, 365, 366 this year. 4 live shows a week, breaking news coverage, 100% for free, and if anybody misses Party in Oakland style, hit that subscribe button. So let's roll through some of these quotes here from Antonio Pierce at the NFL Combine, and I'll give you my reaction to them and break it all down. I don't know how it's going to play out, but Telesco better start working his magic. I told him, it's your turn now. All eyes are on you. I am going to be undefeated for 6 more months. My takes on this one, that's kind of outlying right there. Pierce telling everybody that Tom Telesco is going to be the one that has the majority of the decisions building this roster in free agency and in the draft. So that's one thing. The other thing is, if the Raiders want to get a reliable quarterback in the draft, Telesco needs to start working his magic, right? Like, there is nothing magical about Aidan O'Connell. But if you want to try to get your franchise guy, you're right. You're going to have to whip out that magic wand, giggity, and you're going to have to start sprinkling some, you know what, all around to make it happen. Like, I do think it's important to remember that the Raiders want a franchise quarterback. That has been very well documented. It's been very well reported. I've been sitting up here on this show saying that the Raiders' plan A at QB has always been, and it's always going to be, Jaden Daniels. Telesco, one of the biggest reasons why he was hired, which again, been very well documented, is because he apparently put together the best plan at the quarterback position. And the other thing is, if you're looking for your franchise guy, and if you're looking at Jaden Daniels here, the Raiders interviewed OCs with Jaden Daniels in mind. They didn't interview OCs with Aidan O'Connell in mind. Imagine interviewing OCs with somebody that's not even on your team in mind. It's telling you what the Raiders are trying. Not saying it's going to happen, but at least what the Raiders are trying to do this offseason. More quotes here from Antonio Pierce. I am sure that's something that Telesco has already spoken about, but that's my personality. As you guys say or saw and witnessed, I am a go-getter. But obviously, that has to be a collective agreement. It does have to be a collective agreement. All good marriages have to be a little bit of an agreement, right? I saw something the other day, and it hit perfectly at home where it was like, I might not always be right, but I'm never wrong. And I feel like that's Alex's mindset in our relationship. And it's also my 4-year anniversary, leap year. Shout out to Alex. If anybody wants to hit her up on IG, Twitter, say congratulations. I bet she would appreciate it. But in terms of what he says here, Antonio Pierce is a go-getter. And go-getters don't settle at the quarterback position. If there is one thing that I respect about AP, he is not afraid to look at every single person in the eyes and tell you exactly what he's feeling. And I know that he said Aidan O'Connell is the starting quarterback right now, but actually look at his quotes. He's telling you without actually telling you what the Raiders are trying to do. So coming up next here is going to be more quotes from Antonio Pierce, more reasoning of why I have never been more confident that the Raiders are trying everything in their power to get a franchise-level type of quarterback. I'll tell you this, there's one sponsor that I've been missing, and I love what we're doing right now. Shout out to PrizePicks. If you haven't already, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS for a $100 deposit match. And the reason why that I love PrizePicks, especially at this time of the year, is because football season's over, but the action on the floor, it's heating up. Whether it's tournament season or the fight for playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of the year. Some of you are probably watching and you're like me. I don't play basketball. I don't watch a lot of basketball. I am really, really into the NFL Combine. And guess what? PrizePicks also has picks for the Combine, more or less. So if you don't already know, PrizePicks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there where you can turn your hoops knowledge, NFL Combine knowledge, into some serious cash. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. What's probably everybody's favorite thing at the Combine? 40-yard dash times. And since we're talking about quarterbacks here, let's talk about quarterbacks a little bit more. If you see anybody, so we got Jaden Daniels, who do we got? J.J. McCarthy, Joe Milton, Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., Pratt is in there. We see Spencer Rattler. They all have their 40-yard dash times, and you can pick less or more. I will say it might be a little bit confusing, so walk me through this right now. Michael Penix Jr., 4.64 40-yard dash time. If you think he's going to run a faster time, you pick less. If you think that his time is going to be more than that, then you pick more. And to me, these are some of the ones that I've been looking at. I've been talking to Tom, and it does make it a lot more fun to watch. Like, I'll tell you what, I was watching the defensive tackles. This is when I'm making this video here, and every single one that Tom sent me, I hit. I mean, it was electric, man. Luckily, nobody pulled a Chris Jones and no eggplants fell out. But hey, if you want to pick more, pick less, please get started. PrizePicks is really simple to play. The fact that I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds is awesome. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $1,000 with just a few taps. So Nation, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Those links are going to be available to you all down in the comments and in the description of today's show. Let's keep it rolling here with Antonio Pierce at the Combine and some of the things that he said. I want a guy who, when the game is on the line, he wants the ball, making the throws or doing it with his legs or putting us in the right call. Well, let me just say this one right off the bat. Aidan O'Connell ain't doing nothing with his legs. If you think he's doing something with his legs, you are drastically wrong. But if you look at the other part of that from Antonio Pierce, is he wants a guy that he can rely on when the game is on the line. Here are Aidan O'Connell's stats from this past season in the fourth quarter when the game, either when the Raiders were winning by 7 points or less or losing by 7 points or less. So essentially, the most important part of the NFL game. Aidan O'Connell had a 45.5% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 32.1. There is nothing about what AP has said that has described Aidan. Can Aidan get better? Yes, he can. But also, why are we settling in an offseason that we don't have to settle? Like, there is zero reason why you settle. Why would you go into the NFL season next year with the worst starting quarterback on your roster. Because then guess what? You're wasting an entire year. And there's nothing more valuable than time. And especially with AP and Telesco, they know if they don't do a good job this year, guess what? The heat's getting turned up on their asses. We're going to keep moving here with Antonio Pierce. You don't want to put a Band-Aid at that position. That's old, man. I think the Raiders, we've seen that enough in this organization. And Antonio Pierce speaks about all the Band-Aids that the Raiders have tried to put at that QB position. He even mentions the name Derek Carr, though he said Derek was probably the best quarterback that this organization has had, arguably since probably Rich Gannon, I would say. But having Aidan OC as the starter is like literally the definition of putting a Band-Aid on the quarterback position. It is. Like, there is no better description. There is no better way that you can wrap your mind around it, because you know, at the end of the day, Aidan's never going to be that guy, and just because you were unable to find a quarterback, you're just going to stick with your guy. It's literally the definition of putting a Band-Aid on it. Like, I know that Raiders players like Aidan. However, the players that I have talked to, I talked to multiple players at the NFL Media Day, and they know that he's not a starting quarterback. Doesn't mean that he can't be one at some point in his career, but they want to win right now. And based on the players that I talked to, they got eyeballs. They're not dumb. They know that they can't legitimately compete, which you could say what you want about the Raiders. I don't know if they're a Super Bowl caliber team, which actually I'll say it right now. They're not a Super Bowl caliber team because you don't have a quarterback. But every single season, you want to be able to sit there and believe in yourself and go, we can be a Super Bowl caliber team. Like the Bengals a few years ago, they get Joe Burrow, instantly a Super Bowl caliber team, right? Like you look at the Houston Texans, one of the worst teams in the NFL, get a quarterback, instantly now a Super Bowl caliber team. He's not a top 32 quarterback. Say it with me. He's not a top 32 quarterback. And I have said this, I'm going to say 100 times on this show here. And finally, coming up here, I am going to tell you every quarterback that I think is better than Aidan O'Connell. Or another way to phrase it is, I'm going to tell you every single QB in the NFL that I would rather have than Aidan. And there's a long list. I sat down with a bunch of guys here at Chat Sports. I sat down with a bunch of people that I respect, and we had a very good conversation. And here's the thing. Aidan, he's not a top 32 guy. But this show is not about me. It's about giving all of y'all a voice. And is AOC a top 32 quarterback in the league? If you say yes, awesome. Say yes. Just tell me where you have him ranked. If he's top 32, is he number 22? Is he 15? Is he 31? Is he 32? If you're like, no, Mitch, he's not. Cool. Then tell me exactly where you have him ranked. And I want people to do this exercise, because when you actually sit down and look at all the quarterbacks, because that's what I did. I looked at every single quarterback, and I started in the AFC East, and I worked my way down through every single team's depth chart. So the quarterbacks that you're about to see, they're not ranked. It's just literally me going through saying, yeah, I would take that guy. Yeah, I would take that guy. Yeah, I would take that guy. So quarterbacks that are better than Aidan O'Connell, I mean, some of these are not going to be surprising. Some of them are going to trigger you. Like, I already know some people are going to get triggered by Mac Jones, but as far as I'm concerned, Mac Jones was a Pro Bowler his rookie year with Josh McDaniels. You can't say the same about Aidan. Jake Browning, I'll take him over him. Joe Flacco and Dorian Thompson-Robinson was a consensus. They are better QBs than Aidan O'Connell. So you're talking about a Browns team, their third-string QB. You're going to roll with a quarterback that's not even as good to be he'd be the fourth-string quarterback on the Browns. More quarterbacks than that I would take over him. Cooper Rush is a better quarterback than Aidan O'Connell. In fact, I asked all 20 people here at Chat Sports, who would you rather have, AOC or Cooper Rush? Every single person said Cooper Rush. Another name that's on here that might surprise some people, Sam Howell. Same exact thing. I would rather the Raiders roll with Sam Howell, who played on the Commanders this past season, than decide to roll with AOC again. Justin Fields is on there. You guys can debate that one as much as you humanly possibly want. Now, there's a lot more better QBs on this one here, and there's going to be some that I know are going to trigger you guys from time to time. And if anybody wants to share this, you can share it on my Instagram. You can share it on my Twitter, at Mitchell Renz 365. Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, better than Aidan O'Connell. Gardner Minshew, better than Aidan. Ryan Tannehill. The one on here that was actually kind of split at our office was Davis Mills, but to me, Davis Mills has more upside than AOC. More names rolling in here better than Aidan O'Connell. Hendon Hooker was more of I would rather roll with Hendon Hooker in 2024 than I would Aidan, just based on what I hope would happen. Taylor Heineke, every single day of the week. Jameis Winston, honestly, was close for me. If I ranked the quarterbacks, Jameis probably came in, not even probably, he was in that 40 range of where I think Aidan is. And then just to round out this list, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, and Drew Lock. Bottom line is, I ranked every single quarterback there, not ranked, but I picked every QB that I thought was better than Aidan. And I sat back, and that means to me, Aidan O'Connell was the 45th best QB in the National Football League. And there's going to be people that totally disagree with me on that. And I understand that people are going to totally disagree with me on that. I just don't think that there's, if there's a single person alive that thinks that Mitch, he is a top 32 quarterback, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt here. He's definitely not top 25. Like, there's not 25 teams in the NFL that go, I'll take Aidan. I don't think there's 31 NFL teams in the NFL that would take Aidan to be their starter. And I hate ripping apart a dude that I've never met like this. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. But my job here is to give you guys my honest opinion. My job here is to make sure that I'm going to play YouTube GM head coach, and I'm going to put my opinion up there and say, at the end of the day, the number one objective is to win a Super Bowl. This guy's never going to win you a Super Bowl, and if it's your first year head coach and GM, why are you going to slap a Band-Aid on it when you said that you didn't want to do that? Final quote here from Antonio Pierce. You want the face of your franchise to be the quarterback, to be that guy you can count on for the next 10 years. Let me look at all of y'all in the face right now, and this is another very honest conversation that we're about to have, right? Face of your franchise. Does anybody out there want Aidan O'Connell to be the Raiders' face of their franchise for the next 10 years? No, you don't want that. You are hoping that Aidan is like the bad version of Derek Carr from 2017 to 2022. And here's the other part, and that AP quote, because a lot of the times I was curious, are they going to go and try to go in free agency? Are they going to try to add somebody like a veteran, like a Kirk Cousins? I mean, I hear this quote right here. Kirk Cousins ain't playing for another 10 years. And if this is their plan, and this is what Antonio Pierce wants, obviously Telesco and them have to get on board. But like next 10 years to me doesn't sound like anybody in free agency. There is not a single quarterback in free agency that can be the Raiders' face of their franchise for the next 10 years. The only way that you're getting exactly what Antonio Pierce has described in all his quotes and how he's finishing with this quote right here is if you go in the draft. And the other part of it is this. The only quarterbacks that I believe have a chance to be the face of a franchise for the next 10 years, you're going to have to trade up for. And there's another QB that's getting more and more hype. It's not Michael Penix Jr. I was told by a source literally just the other day that there's a lot of NFL teams at the Combine that don't view Bo Nix as a round one quarterback. Yep. J.J. McCarthy, I'm out on him. The QB that I'm really curious to see where he goes, Spencer Rattler. I'm not saying he's going to be the face of the franchise, but he's a name that the more and more talk I hear, don't be shocked if he ends up going before a guy like Bo Nix. But bottom line, the way I'm going to end this show is this. I want the Raiders to find a franchise quarterback. I want AP to be able to get his guy. I want the Raiders to legitimately have a chance to win a Super Bowl. And unfortunately, that's never going to be with Aidan O'Connell. Yeah, spicy. I know.
Feisty.
It's very spicy, but sometimes you got to be a little spicy, right? Sometimes you got to be a little bit spicy.
A spicy meatball.
Spicy meatball here.
What's your favorite part? What's your favorite event at the NFL Combine? I know Chalk answers the 40-yard dash.
Chalk answers the 40. If there's an event that I actually look at a lot, like 40-yard dash is cool. It's not the one I value. Probably one of the drills that I value the most is actually the 3-cone drill. I like to see the short lateral like ability and like somebody's like moving ability. Like when the Raiders...
Give me the vert.
The vert? Remember when we thought I might have jumped 40? Turned out my vert was 24 inches.
Yeah, we miscalculated and thought Mitch could jump 42 inches.
It was a miscalculation. It was a miscalculation. I'll also say I think bench press is kind of cool to watch. Like just see how like some of those guys get it going. I enjoy that. I mean, I like watching the quarterbacks throw. It's why I'm disappointed this year that Jaden, Drake May, and Caleb aren't throwing.
That's kind of weak.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I understand it from both sides. However, I would tell my guy to throw because at the end of the day, Like if somebody goes, oh, well, he doesn't have chemistry with those wide receivers. If I'm going to draft a quarterback in the top 3 picks, guess what? I want you to be able to throw to you and me. Like if you're a quarterback that's going to get taken in the first 3 picks of the NFL draft, you should be able to throw to Sean Clark, Raiderville 13, Joe Gatlin, Adrian Clark, and Nico Laz, and everyone go, well, that guy's still really good. Like if you're nervous about it, I mean, it's the truth.
I mean,
I want a competitor.
Did you watch the Johnny Manziel doc?
Yes.
Where his agent said that none of the receivers showed up, so his agent just wore gloves and was running routes.
That's wild.
At Texas A&M.
You just picture Tommy DeVito's agent out there running with gloves.
Hey, I'm running routes here.
Running routes here. What up, Perry? We need to go all in on Jaden Daniels, no matter the cost, build the O-line and D-line through free agency. I mean, I'm with you. Like, the more and more I wrap my mind around what I would give up for Jaden, and it might be an unpopular opinion, I'm willing to give up 3 first-round picks. And I also, like, if I'm Antonio Pierce, I would rather give up a 2026 first-round pick than my second-round pick this year. And the reason that you would rather do that is if you're Antonio Pierce, if you don't have your franchise guy, you might not be around till 2026. Like, if I'm the Raiders in my first year, I'm okay giving up future draft capital if it means I can try to hold on to my picks this year, because you need to build in year 1. It is a very, very important time. And if you are able to go out and add a few key pieces to free agency, or if you're able to re-sign some of your players to maybe a little bit of a cheaper deal, I'm on board. What up, Taino?
Taino!
I'm going to change my jersey if you want to handle this one real quick here from my guy, Taino. What up, Taino? 800 people here in the building. If you haven't yet, click that like button, y'all.
He says, why don't these QBs take a 3 to 5 step drop and throw to a receiver that is standing still at different areas on the field? I mean, it could be that. It could be, just doing a throwing drill where it has like the big net and there's the little openings. Like, what? Just throw it. It's your job. It's like going and being like, I should be the head chef at this restaurant. And they're like, all right, cook me a meal. He's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to cook you a meal. I don't know these pots or pans. These aren't my whisks that I'm using. No way can I cook you a meal right now.
I think that's actually
this
really
isn't
good
my
comparison.
knife.
I've been watching Guy Fieri's Tournament of Champions recently, and I'm like all in the cooking game right now. I actually found a restaurant from one of the women who won one of the battles, and she's like 25 minutes away from here.
That's a long drive for you.
Well, Uber. Uber, it's not bad. But I'm definitely thinking about it. I'm with you, though, Taino. I want to see these guys perform. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care who you're throwing to. Like, even if it was, remember that old commercial with Peyton Manning? He's just, like, pegging little kids?
Yes.
I also just realized that's maybe as a pause there. I just want to see Caleb Williams just throwing footballs.
I'll take the tuna. Christian Mendez, if the Raiders don't trade up during this week, how much does the percentage to get JD go down?
I want to say that I do believe that it goes down, and maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. When I say that if I'm the Raiders, I want them to trade this week, it's more based on the plan. Because as you can tell, I don't want the Raiders to start Aidan O'Connell this upcoming season. And if you're Las Vegas and you go, we're going to wait for the draft to get Jaden Daniels, we're going to wait for the draft to find our quarterback. And the draft is, you don't know if you're going to get a chance. Like, that's the one thing. Technically in free agency, you have a chance to get everybody. Like, you make the decision whether or not you want to go out and get a player. In the draft, you could have somebody on your board that you're like, I love this player, but that you might never get the opportunity to actually get that player. So if you go through free agency, you don't sign Cousins, you let Russell Wilson leave, you don't trade for Justin Fields, and you stick there, you go, all right, well, we got Aidan O'Connell. We ended up signing some cheap free agent quarterback for whatever amount of money. Let's just say it's Taylor Heineke. And then now we're going to go into the draft, and now you don't get your quarterback. Well, then what?
You're screwed.
You're screwed. You're absolutely screwed.
And I'm screwed you because I didn't show this during the build-up.
I totally forgot. If anybody wants to get in for a chance to win a little bit of moolah, $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365 for a chance to win some money. If anybody wants in, I know we did. Matt Fluhey won $120 the other day.
Okay.
Isidro on Monday won $385.
We should do one time like a trip.
A trip?
Yeah. $50.
Like $50 and you get a free flight to
Cancun.
Well, not Cancun because then people need passports and that's a whole nother issue. I think
Miami.
it'd be cool though. Or we did, how about this? Hear me out. If we did $50 Venmo to get in, winner gets free flight to Dallas. You pay your own hotel, we'll pay for the flight.
We'll take you out to eat. Yeah, we will.
I mean, probably. Though I'm not driving to pick you up. That I can guarantee you. What up, John? Mitch, AP needs to get into his head and that this is a business, not personal. AOC is not his quarterback, so he owes him nothing. He owes him nothing. And if he knows that he's got no escapability, get rid of him.
Well, the thing is, he's not going to get rid of him because it doesn't really cost you anything. Like it does.
Correct.
It's not a net negative to keep him on your roster. You're not paying him an exorbitant amount of money. You
improved your vocabulary while you were gone.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cuando es but it's gonna be him as the backup because he's still on a rookie deal. You drafted him in the 4th round. It's super cheap. So
again, the team loves Aidan O'Connell. And I do think having a quarterback like Aidan as a backup in the NFL is a very valuable position because he's a very intelligent QB. Like every Raider player that I talk to tells me he's a very, very smart guy, and he's kind of like the ideal practice squad backup QB that you want to be able to have because he's somebody that can go out there and he can execute the offense. That's what practice is about.
He's like Chad Henne or Chase Daniel.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of those type of QBs. I don't know if this is new or not. Rappaport, Laramie Tunsil recently underwent knee surgery following the season, a cleanup of an issue that arose this season when Tunsil spent some time on the injury report.
Yeah, he had an injured knee during the season.
Okay, I didn't know if you knew that or not. He's going to make a swift recovery. Take a drink. Haven't seen it in a while, so take a drink. Justin Gilbert, you, my good friend, are in.
Ooh.
You are so in. Also, according to an NFL draft analyst, Dane Brugler, mentioned the Raiders as a team for the top 5 picks. So, could be something to keep in mind. Again, there's going to be more news. There's going to be more rumors. There's going to be stuff that continues to pop up every single day, especially with the Combine. Like, what's the Combine schedule? I know I have the graphic for it, like what days and what times each position are going to practice. And I'll do my best to keep you guys up to date on Instagram and on Twitter.
Tomorrow is DBs and tight ends. And then Saturday, quarterback, wide receiver, running back. Sunday, the big boys.
The offensive line. I think everyone's going to be excited to watch QBs, wide receiver, running back. But as a Raider fan, the offensive line is where I'm probably going to watch the most. Like, I can't wait for a time, 1, so that's noon. I can't wait for me on Sunday. Alex is going to be just like, she's going to come out in the living room and she's going to what are you watching on TV?
I'm watching big men run.
I'm watching big men try to run fast.
In boxers.
Oh, dude. It's electric, man. It's electric. Do you like watching the NFL Combine? Because there's some people out there that said no. And I do think that it's a lot of hype for something that it's to me. Like, I wish there was more competition. Like, I wish when they did the 40-yard dash, they'd put something it'd be 2 people.
Yeah.
Like, I want competition out of it.
I think to make it more interesting, they should allow fans, obviously waiver signed, they should, every 7 or 8 people have a regular everyday person in the Combine. That's
my idea for the Olympics.
7 people and then Coop.
That's my
7
idea.
people and then me. That would be interesting.
That's what I want people to do for the Olympics because you don't understand or realize how amazing the athletes are.
You're swimming and you're getting triple lapped.
Dude, I actually don't. Do you think if you had to swim for 10 minutes straight, the hardest you could you do
No.
it? Like, somebody's going to have to come get me.
I don't know if I can run for 10 minutes straight. And swimming's harder.
You can run for 10 minutes straight.
If somebody was chasing me at a brisk pace with a knife going like this, maybe.
Bro, you used to jog.
But like sprinting?
Well, no. Nobody can sprint for 10 minutes.
DK can.
I don't know about that. A 10-minute sprint, nobody can sprint for 10 minutes.
There are people that can.
You could jog for 10 minutes.
Yes, I could jog.
Okay.
That's different than swimming.
I thought you were literally just, I mean, you could doggy paddle at the Olympics. No? Okay.
Maybe if it's like the...
What do you think is your best stroke? Backstroke? Breaststroke?
Definitely this
freestyle?
one underwater.
I believe that's breaststroke. I believe so. If anybody's a swimmer, let us know. Got one rolling in now from Lamont 757. What's up, Lamont? Would you trade for Jaden Daniels if you got to give up Devontae? Do you think AOC is better than Trey Lance? And what you think of Michael Penix Jr.? I like... I don't know. Over AOC.
Trey Lance.
Oh, okay. Well, how about this, Lamont? I'm actually going to talk about Trey Lance today, so you're going to see my answer coming up here in a little bit. And if I don't want to trade Devontae Adams, but I've said it before and I'll say it again, the only player that I would not trade, that I would never trade, is Maxx Crosby. That's my answer to that. Like
7 first-round picks.
What?
For Crosby.
Ah, Christ. I mean, but then again, right, you say that. Would you trade Maxx Crosby, this is my favorite game to play with the Raiders, for Tyree Wilson, Alex Leatherwood, Damon Arnett, Henry Ruggs, Cleveland Ferrell, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Abram? I'll throw in another one. The answer to that is no. Which is the other part of the reason why
it would be
I'm okay.
The most impressive feat if the Raiders were to get 7 more first-round picks and use it in that fashion. Like, there's no way.
Don't say it. Knock on wood.
There's no way.
I'll tell you this. They're going to make a Netflix movie 20 years from now about what a disaster the Raiders' picks were in the draft.
Well, and also Chad Smith bringing in the knowledge. AOC did beat Bo Nix in college.
Which obviously, if somebody plays well in college, they're obviously going to be the exact same thing in the NFL.
I mean, best quarterback in the NFL for decades was Greg McElroy, right?
Sure.
He was on that undefeated Bama team.
Yep. There you go. I mean, also, Aidan O'Connell beat Patrick Mahomes this season on Christmas.
Better.
There you go. That's how it works. That's how it works.
Trace once picked off Kyler Murray.
How many touchdowns? I know he had 9 completions.
He did what he needed to do. But he kept Patrick Mahomes off the field.
No completions in the final 3 quarters of that game. Very impressive.
He kept him off the field. He did what he needed to do.
Yeah,
Drove the bus.
I'm extremely curious to see where Bo ends up going, because already the early buzz at the combine that our guys are relaying to us is there's a lot of NFL GMs out there that do not view Bo as a round 1 quarterback.
Wow, I wonder who would have said that a month ago.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
I mean,
somebody was saying that J.J. McCarthy is better than Bo Nix, but people were calling him crazy.
I don't know. The problem is you can't draft either of those guys in round 1. Did you say Bo Nix was better than J.J. or did I?
You said.
I said Bo Nix was better than J.J.
Yes, I said no.
Okay. I was going to say, at this point, I just ranked the top 3 guys. Then there's Penix, and then panic button on Bo and J.J. I mean, there's a part of me that legitimately wonders if I keep watching more and more tape on Spencer Rattler. It's like, again, I've watched a lot of tape on all the guys. I don't know, man. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility for me that I rank Rattler above Bo Nix. It's not out of the realm of possibilities.
What else I'm concerned isn't out of the realm of possibility is us doing a video about trade targets.
Wow.
Coming up next.
Coming up next here on the show, I'm going to refresh my phone and see how many people are in.
I gotta. Oh wait,
What do you got?
I gotta plug this in.
Your computer's gonna die. I also see again, Justin Gilbert. You are in, my good friend, for a chance to win some money. Next person is Baltazar, which hopefully I pronounced that right. Baltazar.
Was it not Bulbasaur?
No.
Oh.
But the next one coming in here is Jose Venusaur Corona. And who does that? So Bulbasaur evolves into, it's Ivysaur and then it's Venusaur.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I think I could name, if you showed me all 150 Pokemon, the original, the OGs, 151, I think I could name them. Maybe that's cool, maybe it's not. It's probably not.
You must, before Alex, you must have been just swimming in it.
Dude. Like Misty.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I can name all 151 original Pokemon.
I saw a picture of like the best like dating like profiles or whatever, and I saw it when I was in Paris, and the guy had a picture of him standing next to the Eiffel Tower, and it was like two truths, or it was one truth and a lie, and it was like, I got a really tiny dick and I've never been to Paris. Like, I thought it was absolutely hilarious. What up, Brandon? Locals.
No, he said, my chalkboard is empty, so no good quip today. But still, here's a shout out for
Locals. If you don't know, we go live every single Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Raiders Report. .locals.com. Also, Tuna. I'm just going to tell you ahead of time, I'm not doing a boot today. I have a jersey of yours that I'm going to be wearing on my next segment.
I'll do it.
You'll do the boot. All right.
Or if DeSavior.
All right. Sounds good.
Little DeSaves.
Little DeSaves. Which this show, again, I was talking earlier about our legendary free agency shows. This is one of them. Shane DeSavior.
Zane DeSavior.
Zane DeSavior pulled up and went bananas, because I believe his jersey number is 23 off the top of my head, and then he got one for his son, at least I hope.
Little DeSaves.
Little DeSaves. What up, Darian?
Sheffield Realtor.
Ooh, welcome back, Chugs. Happy belated, thank you. Can't lie, Byron Murphy looks good. Wouldn't be mad if we got him at 13. Raiders!
So I actually covered him in high school whenever he was playing here in Dallas. Really good kid.
When you say covered him, you mean?
No, yeah, I blocked him.
Okay.
No, I watched him play in high school. He was really good. It's funny because him and the really good edge rusher from Texas A&M, Shamar Turner, were on the same team.
That's wild.
And they were one game away from state, and they didn't make it. But he was really good. Has always been, like, not undersized, but not, like, massive. But he works with his hands so well. Pause. What he's able to do in between the gaps is amazing. Pause.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he would really fit with the Raiders at 13. Pause.
Solid burst.
Mm-hmm.
Solid burst.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he does look very good. He's my number one defensive tackle overall.
Martin said pause the second because he's Byron Murphy the second.
Oh. I do think, though, like, if you want upside, it's Byron Murphy. I will say Johnny, a.k.a. Jerzon Newton, he wants to go by Johnny now. He might actually be, like, the safer pick. Like, Byron is the upside. Sweat, to me, is my number 3 defensive tackle. I do know that the Raiders need to address this defensive tackle group. If there's one DT that I've moved up a lot, and I did it on the show that I did, 2 days ago, was the defensive tackle from Florida State who just... Fisk. I had him outside of my top 10. If you look at my Monday show...
Either one in the hand or 2 in the Fisk.
You could do better. He's now, I think, like 7 or 6 for me in my defensive tackles.
It's 2 in the bush or 1 in the Fisk.
Wow. I'll tell you, the first thing you said, I heard. The second thing, never heard that before.
It's the saying is either two in the bush, two in the bush or one in the hand, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Scheffler, yes, today is going to be my dry day. Tomorrow we'll get a little bit wet and wild tomorrow.
It'll be your wet day.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be my wet day.
I'll take the tuna.
Today is Alex and I's 4-year anniversary, and I have dinner.
It's your 1 year.
Technically 1 year, correct. Leap year. Yep, leap year. Which, if you ever see her say that joke, because I feel like it's like one of those things that does grind her gears. Like, I'll say, like, I've been saying it to her all day today. I was like, oh, like 1 year, man, it's crazy. Like a year ago.
And you're already engaged.
Already engaged.
That's wild.
And in 1 year, we got engaged, got a dog, have lived in 2 different places, and we took a trip.
And
it's kind of wild, dude. It's kind of wild. Thank you, though, Chef. I appreciate that. All right, let's get into this next segment here. Who likes trades? I love trades. And
I love them.
I know that I've been getting a lot of flack on social media about a trade that I did 2 months ago, so I'm sure I'll get some flack for doing these as well. Also, Anthony Green and Randall Carter get in.
David said 2 in the bush. What was that again?
What was it?
I think it's 1 in the hand or 2 in the bush is the saying.
I think that's the actual saying, yes. But what did you say? 2 in the bush or 1 in the fisk? Oh, my God. Dude.
We're making it into a shirt if Braden's drafted. 2 in the, or 1 in the fisk or 2 in the bush.
I can already see the weigh-in now. I can't wait to see the graphics that we used. We had a few people turn around when they heard that.
Mitch, you might get an AR or an HR message from Allie. She looked around.
Did she?
Yeah, she was not. Yeah, I don't know. I can't speak.
Yeah, well, tell her to put her shoes on. Zon's watching. We got 700 people here. Tune in to the Raiders Report. If you haven't yet, click that like button. And coming up next here, trades that the Raiders could potentially make. Again, there's been a lot of the conversations. Oh, there is Zon. What's up, Zon? Been a lot of conversations, a lot of trade rumors going on at the NFL Combine, which probably doesn't surprise anybody. And based off of some of the news and notes that our team has received, I have put together just some players that the Raiders could potentially target. And I'll tell you right now, I don't want the Raiders to go out and target all of these guys. It's just, if you were to ask me based on the Raiders' needs, these are the players that could potentially be available
Mitch,
to them.
it's in a video. Obviously, you want all of these things to happen, and if they don't, then you're just not a good host.
Correct. And that's how it works. Even if you say, I don't want it to happen, then somebody will take a screenshot, they'll put it here, and they're like,
clickbait!
I can't believe you want to trade Maxx Crosby. Wild, man. It's a wild, wild world that we live in, but it's all good. I like hanging out with all of y'all. All right, you ready? Jeremy's ready. Hopefully you guys are ready. Coming up right now, talk a little bit of trade rumors around the silver and black. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and we're going to get into some potential trade targets that Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco could look at. We got our chat sports team at the NFL Combine, and since they are at the Combine, there's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of buzz, and there are certain players that our team has kind of put together a list, and they have sent to me of, hey, these are some potential trade targets, or I guess trade candidates on other NFL teams. I took that list that I was sent, and then I went ahead and I said, all right, this guy would make sense. That guy makes some sense. So I did this based on what the Raiders currently need at certain positions and based off of what our chat sports team is hearing at the NFL Combine right now. I do also have to say that not every single player that you see on the show means that I want the Raiders to trade for him. I will say this, though. If the Raiders make any deal, any trade whatsoever, we're going to be live here on the Raiders Report. I'll give you my honest feedback on it. I'll tell you whether I like the trade, whether I don't like the trade. And anytime we go live, I want people to tune in. Yes, we go live every single Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. But my favorite live shows, minus when McDaniels got fired, are when Raiders make a trade, Raiders sign a player in free agency, and I think a lot of that fun stuff's coming up here. So subscribe, turn on those notifications. That way you don't miss a thing. Let's go to the first potential Raiders trade target here. Rolling in, it's Kenyon Green, offensive guard for the Houston Texans. He's a former first-round pick in 2022. The problem is he's just been battling a lot of injuries, and he got injured before this previous season. The Texans also drafted Drew Scruggs out of Penn State in 2023, and he's probably going to end up beating out Green, which that puts Green in this interesting situation of, well, if you're drafted in round 1, you're expected to start. Like, I'm not going to say that Kenyon Green reminds me of Alex Leather because I think that Green's a much more talented player, but it's kind of like that situation where, here's the thing, you got a brand new head coach. This head coach has no ties to Kenyon Green, right? D'Amico Ryans didn't end up drafting him. So because of that, he's now on the back burner, and if they have a guy that's potentially better, then that's the route that they're more than likely going to go. And if you can get somebody that was drafted in round 1, potentially in the 4th round's a little too rich for my blood here. Like, if I'm going to make an offer, I know he's been battling some injuries. I'm going to make an offer for a 5th, a 6th, or 7th round pick for most of these players for the simple fact of right before free agency, I'm not going to trade you some picks. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to get the cheapest deal that I possibly can, because if not that they're going to cut him, but I'm still trying to get good value here before free agency and before the NFL draft. I'll be real, though. He's a big boy, could potentially be a starting guard if he's healthy. Like, I would like to see what Green looks like in a little bit of a different scenario, if you will, because he is a powerful blocker. But, like, these PFF grades from 2022 they're bad. Like, there's just no other way that you can possibly say it. They are bad. An overall grade of 37.7, pass blocking grade of 27.0, run blocking grade of 47.4. I do believe, though, that there's opportunities at times to buy low on certain guys, and the reason why I'd be intrigued to buy low on him is because there's a part of me that thinks just because the Houston Texans are a better run team and just because D'Amico Ryans has a good head on his shoulders, that guess what? The Texans aren't going to be the shit show that they used to, and Kenyon Green's going to have a better season, and you have the opportunity to finally buy low. Then when you look at the Raiders' offensive line depth chart, you're not going to be able to go out and sign all of these big-name free agents, and as it stands right now, the Silver and Black are missing 3 out of their starting offensive linemen. Based off of some reports that I've heard at the Combine, the Raiders are trying to bring back Greg Van Roten. However, they want to bring him back as kind of like the role Jordan Meredith played this past season, where he's just more of a depth piece. And if they decide to kick Dylan Parham in at center, could you go out, trade for Kenyon Green, give up a 5th-round pick, and then all you have to do is you're only going to have to owe him $2.2 million this season, and then you would owe him $5.1 million in 2025. Like, if you can find a potential starting offensive guard for those prices in free agency, you're going to take that every single day of the week. I know Kenyon Green was hurt last year. I know that he was bad in 2022, but I do think certain circumstances can change a lot of things, and if you're in a better overall situation now, and the Raiders now are a better situation that he was in on the 2022 Texans, I mean, they picked where they did for a reason. I think it's an intriguing option that the Raiders should at least consider out there. However, I do want to know what y'all have to say. Like, if the Raiders were going to make one trade this offseason, let me know down below who you think it should be for. And I know it's a very difficult conversation to have, and there's a lot of different types of trades that you can make. And maybe the better way to say this is like, if you could make one trade before free agency, if you could make one trade before the NFL draft, who would it be? There's a lot of different areas there, but the pick that you're going to see from me is me basing it off of finding the right bang for my buck. So if you guys could, go down to the comment section. Let me know if you could make a trade that the Raiders should consider, whether that's Telesco, whether that's Antonio Pierce. If you could, this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. I want you to scroll on down while you're getting hit with that YouTube ad break. Believe it or not, let the ad play. I know sometimes it takes a little time. Helps out Jeremy and I. So if you could, let the ad play and give me your answer. If you could make one trade before free agency, before the draft, who should it be for the Las Vegas Raiders? Coming up after this YouTube ad break, my answer. Right now, I'm looking for a low-risk trade. I don't want to give up a ton of draft capital for a player that let's face it, if you're getting traded right now, there's a reason why you're getting traded right now. So if I can find a low-risk, potentially a high reward that comes in at a cheap price, that's what I'm looking for. And the player that I'm about to talk about is this guy. And this is a dude that I talked about a lot last year. And I'm going to bring his name up here again because he has been linked in our guy here at Chat Sports who's at the Combine is very well tied in with Philadelphia has brought up the name James Bradberry. And I know Bradberry was bad this past season. And realistically, since Bradberry held, maybe he did, maybe he didn't, in the Super Bowl, he has not been a very reliable corner for Philadelphia. However, he does have experience playing with Patrick Graham. And if the Eagles would take next to nothing to get him, because if I can give up one of our 7th-round picks, right now the Las Vegas Raiders have 3 7th-round picks. You use one of those 7s, you go get a guy like James Bradberry, because if not, I actually think Philadelphia is just going to cut him. And if you know that you're going to cut somebody anyway, wouldn't you just rather get something for him in return? All it would do is cost the Raiders $1.2 million in 2024, and he has $0 million guaranteed in 2025. So you give up a 7th-round pick. You add a 31-year-old James Bradberry coming off a bad year, but he does have ties with Patrick Graham. And honestly, the best version of Bradberry was with Patrick Graham with the New York Giants. And if he's bad after 1 year, you cut your ties, you move on, and then there's nothing to worry about. And yes, he was bad, but I also think that it was outblown, or like it was highlighted a lot more how bad he was, just because of blown out of proportion because of how the season ended in Philadelphia, right? Like they lost, 8 out of their last 9 games, 7 out of their last 8 games. He was not great. Again, though, 7th-round pick, if I could find a cornerback of the caliber of James Bradberry in the 7th round of the NFL draft, Amik Robertson, free agent, you put Nate Hobbs, Jack Jones, you still got to go out and find another corner. This is more of just finding that reliable veteran that you can bring in here that knows the Patrick Graham defense, like a player coach on the field. That is a role that I do find value in, and if it's not going to cost a lot to get him and the Raiders don't have to pay him a lot of money, all I'm saying is at least entertain the idea. And in fact, a lot of the trades that you're going to see here on today's show are just think about it. Don't just say no right away. I got a few more names to bring up here on the show, but I do want to tell you about our sponsor, Gametime. And Gametime is an awesome app that creates a lot of lasting memories, not only for you, but anybody that you end up taking to a game. Like, I know the Raiders football season's over, but if you want to go to a hockey game, right now, I would say, if you ask me, Mitch, would you rather go to a basketball game or a hockey game? I'm picking hockey every single day of the week, and the Vegas Golden Knights are a really, really fun team to watch. Why? Because they're actually good. But if you're looking for awesome seats, price drops, even when the event gets a little bit closer. And the cool part about Gametime is they are the lowest price guaranteed. So you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code RaidersChat for $20 off your first purchase. Again, check it out. Gametime for last-minute tickets. Use code RaidersChat for $20 off. Gametime gives fans access to last-minute tickets to the most popular events in more than 60 cities across the U.S. and in Canada. Get images of your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And with 2-tap buying options, you'll score tickets quickly and without the hassle. Skip all the lines, skip all the hassle, and enjoy the moment. Terms apply again. Create an account. Redeem code RaidersChat for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And the other thing is, I've been trying to save up for a wedding, right? Like, I'm just being real with y'all. I've been trying to save up for a wedding. So finding events, finding things to do for under $50 is an awesome option. And if you're a dad, if you're a mom, if you're looking for something fun to do with your child to just get out of the house, the cool part about Gametime is you can find really, really cheap tickets last minute, so you can find something fun and spontaneous, and it's going to create a lasting memory. That's why I love Gametime, and I think you guys will enjoy it too. That link's going to be available to you all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. Let's go to the next name here on my list of potential Raiders trade targets. It's Patrick Peterson, corner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Peterson is not getting any younger, and he is not the corner that he once was with the Arizona Cardinals, but he's got 1 year left on his deal, and Pittsburgh, according to a source close to us here at Chat Sports, is likely to cut him if he doesn't take a pay cut this season. So again, if you're Pittsburgh and you go, well, I don't know if he's going to take a pay cut, and we're just going to have to cut him anyway, you might as well just try to get something cheap for him. So again, I'm talking 7th-round pickish here for Peterson. He did play well last year as a safety when Minkah Fitzpatrick went down, and Peterson had to fill that role. Like, I know when you hear Peterson, you think of a corner, and I think of a corner too. But the Raiders and Patrick Graham, they like versatility. So So what if you brought in another veteran like Peterson here and let him be this versatile corner safety hybrid type of player? The other intriguing part about this is we always know how the NFL works with relationships. And the Raiders safety coach is now Gerald Alexander, who worked with him. He's been a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's been with the Steelers the past 2 seasons. And if the best version that we've seen out of Peterson, probably in the last 2 or 3 years, came out when he played safety, if I'm Patrick, I'm thinking at least like, shit, do I go to Las Vegas? Do I rejoin the guy, a coach that helped me look the best I've looked in a few different years? Sure, it's in a different position, but it could be an opportunity. Like, I think when you consider the idea of going out and adding a veteran, when you go out and you consider adding somebody like this on a brand new team with a brand new head coach, 31 new coaches in general, a brand new GM, you need to be okay with the idea of having those player coaches that can really get your message across to some of these younger players. So when you look at the safeties, like I know we have Merrick, I know we have Epps. Patrick Peterson ain't better than those two guys, and he's not taking play time away from them. Isaiah Palomeo, I do expect to come back. Chris Smith and Grant, I don't see Grant returning. Chris Smith II is a candidate to me that I do think could potentially get cut. Like, this regime did not draft him, and sure, he was drafted in the 5th round, 170 overall out of Georgia, but that doesn't guarantee you anything. And then even from your cornerback spot here, you got Jack Jones, you got Nate Hobbs, and then there's a lot of other unknowns. The Raiders are going to cut Brandon Facyson. Tyler Hall will be an intriguing player. I'll see where he goes. Sam Webb is basically a fringe practice squad player. Ja'Cory Bennett was drafted in round 4, but there's not a single person alive right now that reps the silver and black that has confidence in him. So my point is, like, you could trade a 7th-round pick. This is the one problem. It will be $6.9 million in 2024. And I don't view him as an upgrade over Marcus Peters. The Raiders paid Marcus Peters last season $4 million. So with that mindset, like, that could steer you away a little bit more. Like, if I had to pick between James Bradberry or Patrick Peterson, which out of those two players I would trade for, I'd pick James Bradberry every single day of the week. Let's go to the next name here, and this is the big one on the show. It's Brandon Ayuk. And Ayuk's family and friends have made it seem like he's going to be leaving the 49ers, and there's been videos on Instagram, on Twitter. People have been saying things like, yeah, like he's out of there. However, according to Chase Sr., who is our rep here for the 49ers, the San Francisco 49ers have no plans of trading him, and they're trying to figure out a long-term deal. Part of the combine is there's a lot of smoke, right? And maybe the 49ers are just trying to convince teams that they want to be able to hang on to him so they get a better trade. But also, like, if his friends, his family are openly saying that Brandon Ayuk's not going back there, it's not that I don't believe what people are saying at the combine, but call me crazy, I'm going to believe his friends, his family, the people that Brandon's talking to on a regular day basis, the people that he lives with. Like, Ayuk played at Arizona State. He has those connections with Antonio Pierce. Now, I know the other thing that everybody's sitting up here saying is like, why would the Raiders trade for Ayuk? We are set at the wide receiver position, which you are 100,000% correct. But the reason why you would potentially do it is if the Raiders move on from Hunter Renfrow. What if the Raiders move on from Jacoby Myers? Could you add Brandon Ayuk next to Devontae Adams, give him a big-time deal? I mean, another thing that people don't want to like to hear is you get Brandon Ayuk a big-time deal now, and then you keep Devontae Adams, and then next offseason when Adams' salary goes up to $44.1 million per year, could you potentially then trade Devontae, and now you got a younger Brandon Ayuk to be your star wide receiver? Like, I can create a picture in my mind where it makes sense. I can also sit up here and give you 10 reasons why it doesn't make any sense for the Raiders to go out and trade for Ayuk. But if this team's going to operate based on let's go out and get AP his guys, which is kind of one of the things that this team has done, Brandon Ayuk is one of AP's guys. It's also one of Jaden Daniels' guys as well. So should the Raiders trade for Brandon Ayuk, type trade, type pass, whether you're watching this live, whether you're watching this on a later date, put on that GM hat, talk with Tom Telesco here. Should the Raiders trade for 49ers wide receiver Brandon Ayuk? My answer is no. He is a phenomenal receiver. I actually think he's probably one of the most underrated receivers in the National Football League. And I said that last year about Jacoby, where Jacoby's the wide receiver 2 on the Raiders, and he's always going to be overshadowed by Devontae. Brandon Ayuk might be a better receiver than Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel might be a better football player than Brandon Ayuk, but Ayuk's always going to be the afterthought there in San Francisco as long as Deebo's there. The other reason why I'm not doing it, though, is because the Raiders have other needs. Like, you're going to have to trade probably a second-round pick at the absolute least. Like, if I'm the Niners, I want a first for Brandon, right? I'm not giving up pick 13 for Ayuk. I'm not even going to a 2025 first-round pick for Ayuk. Like, let's say it's pick 44, and then you have to go pay him $14.1 million. Like, $14.1 for Ayuk, based off his talent right now, is a good deal. But I also see him then, if you make the trade, he's going to want a longer-term deal, a bigger deal overall. It's not a need. If the Raiders were to spend $14.1 million on a receiver, I'd rather you allocate that money to a defensive tackle like a Leonard Williams, like a DJ Reader, or going out and finding a top offensive lineman like a Robert Hunt. Coming up next, I got two more potential Raiders trade targets that we've been hearing some buzz around at the NFL Combine. Again, I'm not saying that the Raiders are literally like showing interest in these players. I'm sitting up here telling you that there is buzz, there are rumors around certain dudes at the Combine, and based on the Raiders' needs, could they potentially go out and trade for them? There are a handful of players, though, that I know Las Vegas will not trade for that have been asked about. I probably could have also put Hassan Reddick on this list just because of how much money he's owed. Justin Fields, it's not going to happen. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, the fact that the Raiders hired Luke Getsy, that's number one. It's been reported by almost every Raiders beat reporter out there that the Raiders believe that Fields was the problem, not Getsy. On top of that, I'm a big follower of Vegas Knows. I just saw some latest odds today around Vegas and Fields. Minus 425 to Atlanta. You see odds like that, that to me says that this guy's going to the Atlanta Falcons. Zach Wilson, L'Jarius Sneed. They're not going to trade for a bad quarterback like Wilson. Sneed, there's no reason why you give up 2 first-round picks to go get him. Then you don't have an opportunity to go get your quarterback. They're not going to make a deal with anybody from Denver, even though Denver's selling a lot of pieces. And then the last name is Khalil Mack. The Raiders will not be trading for Khalil Mack this upcoming season. Let's go to the next name here. It's Tyus Bowser, linebacker, edge of the Baltimore Ravens. Another dude that's in the final year of his deal, and he missed all of last season with a knee injury. And honestly, it was kind of a weird knee injury. Like, nobody really knew what the hell happened to him. When you look at the reports, when you look at the news around him, there was a lot of undisclosed. Like, we know it was a knee, but it just kind of lingered and lingered and lingered. And when I went back and I looked at some of the reports around Bowser, it kind of reminded me of a few years ago. Remember when Richie Incognito, honestly, even like a Brandon Faison this past year, but Incognito like hurt his ankle in a preseason, and they were like, oh, he'll be back, never ended up getting on the field. Like, remember when Faison like was just not playing? Imagine if that whole song and dance would have happened for the full season. That's what happened to Bowser. However, though, he did have a great year in 2021 when Rob Ryan was the Ravens' inside linebacker coach. I understand that Bowser is not an inside linebacker. However, the Ravens also run a 3-4, and it's not apples to apples. It's probably apples to oranges. But I also know if Rob Ryan had a good relationship with Bowser, I'm not saying that he does, but there's at least a little bit of a connection there. And if Bowser knows that the Raiders are looking for athletes at the edge/outside linebacker position, could be something to entertain. It would cost the Raiders a late draft pick. I'm saying probably a 6th-round pick, 5th-round pick here, and $5.5 million in cap space. But the other reason why this one makes sense is because they got Owe Adafe, right? He's from Penn State, and they have more edge rushers that they could allocate their money to, which might make Bowser the odd guy out. So if you know that you're not going to be able to retain this guy after 1 year coming off a injury, wouldn't you try to at least trade him for something right now? Like, when he's been on the field, he's been a reliable player. Like, 2021, 7 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 59 tackles in general. 2020, the year before that, 3 INTs. He's a good athlete. He's 29 years old. I'd be open to the idea of entertaining this. I also know that the Raiders, they have Robert Spillane. They got Luke Masterson, but their linebacker core in general is weak, right? Like, it's a weak linebacker group overall. And I see a lot of people down there below are saying, no, I don't want him, I'll pass. And you don't have to go out and get this guy. It's just a player to at least consider. Then at the edge position, you got Crosby, you got Malcolm Kuntz. Obviously, you got Tyree Wilson in there as well. But then after that, there's a lot of unknowns. Hell, even Tyree Wilson is a little bit of an unknown. And Janarius Robinson hasn't been cut yet, but I do anticipate that he ends up getting cut for his bonehead DUI that he ended up getting earlier this offseason. The final name is the big one, and this is the one that it's going to get a lot, and I mean a lot of attention. We had a super chat that came in earlier on our show asking about Trey Lance. Well, guess what? Here you go. Here we can talk about it. According to a source close to us here at Chat Sports, the Dallas Cowboys would be looking for something around a 5th-round pick for for Trey Lance. Dallas traded the 4th rounder last year to go get this guy. And if you remember, the San Francisco 49ers a few years ago, 2021, traded 3 first-round picks, go from 12 all the way up to number 3. The Raiders, if they made this deal, they would have to pay him $5.3 million in 2024. And the fact that he's in the final year of his deal, this could be an intriguing option. I'm saying intriguing, not in a good way. It's an interesting option where, what if the Raiders miss on free agency? You miss in the draft. Then you have Aidan O'Connell and Trey Lance battle it out to see who's the starting quarterback. I don't love that situation at all. But if we're talking about connections, the Raiders have a clear connection here. And the quarterback coach for the 49ers, the year that they made that decision to go up and trade for Lance, Rich Gangarillo, guess what? He's with the Raiders now. And, I don't think that he's a great quarterback coach. No, nobody, I think, really out there thinks that he's a great quarterback coach. I could be wrong in saying that. But if at one point, because if you're an NFL team like the Niners, and I think the Niners are one of the better run organizations in the NFL, if you disagree with that, you can disagree with it. It's just my opinion. I would have a hard time believing that you would trade up from 12 to 3, give up 3 first-round picks for a quarterback that your quarterback coach didn't love. Does that make sense? So if he loved him at one time, what if he also thinks like, well, he got hurt his rookie year, then Scangarillo leaves, and then 49ers end up moving on from him. Now he's in another position to potentially get him back. Like, if your quarterback coach loves him and you miss on all these other areas, could the Raiders trade for Trey Lance if all it cost you was a 5th or a 6th round pick? It's at least an entertaining option. However, the name of the game, what's important? Not putting a Band-Aid on it. Finding an improvement at the quarterback position, which is what every NFL team needs to do. You can't say, oh, Aidan O'Connell's a good friend of mine, let's keep him as a starter. That's not how it works. If you think Trey Lance is better than Aidan O'Connell, then you go out and get your guy in Trey Lance, let them compete. My question to you is, who is the better quarterback? Is it Aidan O'Connell or is it Trey Lance? Like, Aidan's probably the better pocket passer. Trey Lance is probably the better athlete. My question to you, though, is who is the better QB as it stands right now? This might surprise some of you, but I'm going to roll with Aidan O'Connell. I have never been, and I mean never ever, for anybody that's watched the show, I am not proud to say that a player busted because obviously that impacts their lifestyle, but also my job here as a host is I'm not afraid to say, I'm going to pat myself on the back when I get a take right. If there was one quarterback that I was so far out on was Lance, it was Trey Lance because I didn't like his footwork. I don't like his technique. There wasn't a lot of game tape that you saw on him. So if you were to ask me, Mitch, should the Raiders trade for Trey Lance? My answer to that would be no, I don't want the Raiders to trade for Trey Lance. So let's look at some potential Raiders trade targets based on some buzz that is going on around the NFL Combine right now. You got Kenyon Green, James Bradbury, Patrick Peterson, Brandon Ayuk, Tyus Bowser, and Trey Lance. Out of those names that you see on screen right now, the name that probably intrigues me the most is Bradbury. The next name is Kenyon Green. All other 4 I don't really see happening here for the Silver and Black. There's going to be a lot of stuff that happens over the weekend. There's going to be a lot of things that end up happening this entire offseason. And I know that not everybody has the ability to watch our live shows, to watch our shows on YouTube as well. But if you still want to get Cliff Notes version of everything going on around this football team, give me a follow on IG. Give me a follow on Twitter. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365 doing my best each and every day to make sure that you guys know I'm thinking of you, but also to make sure that you know more about the Raiders than all your friends. Wow, this is a question. How fast could you run the 40-yard dash?
I ran a 4.6 the other year, or a couple years ago, remember?
4.6? I thought it said like 4.2.
Oh, no, yeah, 4.2.
Based off the video I have, 4.2. 4.2. All right, you give some shout-outs here. I got to put on another jersey, and then it's our final segment of the show.
Yoda said about 5 minutes. Rebel said 69 seconds. Nice. Cat Williams runs 4.2. Legit. I don't know about that. Jesse said 4.58 dash, so right now, so probably 4.5. Robert said I ran a 4.86 in college at 280, so I'm guessing that means a 5.2 now. He beat the Niners in his only start. Joe Gatlin said 6. Where are we at? How fast could you run the 40-yard dash? Michael says 4.4. If I told you right now, $500 if you can run it in under a 4.8, could you do it?
Oh boy, I mean, my answer is no. My hamstrings are bad. When I was at my peak before I tore my ACL, yeah, I'd be making $500.
Justin said he ran a 4.53 in college.
I mean, I ran a 4.6 in high school, and then I just blew out my knees. That was awful.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that.
If it wasn't for that, man. But when you even think about that, like I was one of the faster guys in my high school, and then it just fell apart. Actually, I don't even think I ran a 4.6. I was probably closer to 4.7. 4.6 is even moving. But again, like 4.7. If you saw a wide receiver run a 4.7, you're like, that guy's never getting.
I ran a 5.1. And for me, I was moving.
Oh, really?
I thought I was.
I mean, that's.
I was going thumb to ear, back down to hip. I was.
I wonder if we have. I mean, I got to be able to find that video somewhere. I mean, I bet you if we looked it up.
Dan says Chugs couldn't run a 4.6 if he had a 20-yard head start.
Jeremy Chugg's 40-yard dash. Unfortunately, I can't find it.
Maybe it's on locals.
It's definitely on locals, but
if you just search on the channel, if you just search Combine or something like that, it might come up.
I'm not finding it. Mitchell Renz. Yeah, I just looked up the dumbest thing ever. Mitchell Renz, NFL Combine. It's just Twitter. I'll try to find it. It would be sick, though. It would be sick. All right, let's go to the super chat coming in here from Aggressive Master Raider that said, F Michael Lombardi, Raider hate and weasel. Did you see what he said? So Michael Lombardi, which is fair, you've been gone. He basically said that just because Antonio Pierce is from Compton, he thinks he's a Raider.
Oh.
Like along those lines, like, and he's like, that's a joke. But what I just find hilarious with Michael Lombardi is like, the only reason why Lombardi has ever gotten a job anywhere in the NFL is because of his last name. And I don't know if you know this, but Mick Lombardi, the Raiders' old OC last year, that's his kid. And Al Davis, I believe it's the first time in NFL history that the owner has fired the dad, and then the new owner fired, like, the son. So, like, Al fired Michael, Mark fired Mick, which I don't think has ever happened before in NFL history, but he's also a Chargers fan. People weren't happy about it. I also used the line that we said before here on this show that Lombardi shits with his legs crossed. It's popping on Twitter. It's been a popular tweet.
All right.
It was a good reply. It's one of my better ones. We do have to get into our next segment. Before I do, though, remember $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365 for a chance to win a little bit of money. Yeah, go pee. Chuck's going to go take a quick leak. I got to try to get out of here. Like I said, for those that do not know, today is Alex and I's 4-year anniversary. I got dinner scheduled, and just keeping it real with y'all, if I'm late, even in the slightest bit, I am in the doghouse. However, the good news to that is tomorrow we can turn up. Tomorrow we can get a little bit wet and wild here on the show. For those that do not know, if anybody's curious about our bang race for the month of February, it sounds like Lord Cameron Abbott is going to come away with a dub. Cameron Abbott has got a secure lead, and again, if you don't know, that February's only got usually 28 days. This month, it's 29, which, again, whoever came up with this idea, I'm a little bit curious why 1 month out of them all just only has 28 days. Maybe there's a reason. I don't know. Tomorrow we start our brand new March bang race. The winner of our MVP bang race here for the month of February, if you don't know what a bang is, $100 super chat, we yell bang. You're going to get yourself a jersey, Lord Cameron Abbott, or if anybody can go out there and beat him. If you want to shout out here on the show, let's give some shout outs down below. If you guys want one, spam me, or if you got a question, I'll answer some questions until Jeremy gets back from taking a pee. Brandon, nice looking jersey. Not going to make Chugs do a boot. That's totally fine, Brandon. Believe me. I have a system in my closet back there with all the jerseys that I have, and like I turn the hangers certain ways. That way I know which ones I've worn and which ones I haven't. So I go through like all the jerseys that I have, and I'm just going like I only have, I think like 3 or 4 more jerseys that I have to wear like in this round. Like I've worn every single jersey that I have. We're about to get a few more new ones, so be on the lookout for them either next week or 2 weeks from now. So just keeping that in mind. But yeah, I also just saw what happened on my Venmo, and it's going to be an interesting one. I don't even know. I'm not going to tell you what happened yet, but I am going to tell you that Jeremy's going to owe a beer bong. That I can promise you. I also see, in terms of the names that are in here, Randall Carter, you in. Anthony Green, you in. And then I see Raider Ray, you in. So as it stands right now, $20 Venmo, you'd have a chance to win $70. Also, Cameron, you in. So 8 people are in. Mr. Jeremy Chugs. And I also, you all right? You forgot you haven't peed all day. Yeah, that's kind of wild.
Hit me like a wall.
Hit me like a wall. Nice looking jersey. He said he's not going to make you do a boot.
Yeah.
Yep. Said
you wouldn't.
No balls, you won't.
I dare you. I double dog dare you.
Don't. You don't have to do it, Brandon. I also sent you a message because you did say every hundo you do a beer bong, right?
Yeah, somebody sent in a hundo.
I got you. Also, Isidro, you in. Isidro won, what, $385 the other day? Isidro is in, and I think I just saw another person get in here. Juan Gutierrez, you, sir, are in. So now, $20 Venmo, you have a chance to win $100.
Is this for the 50-50, though?
No. Brandon Jasper in. So now we are up to 11 people that are in this race. Yep. 11 people. Make sure my math is mathin'. The math, it is a mathin'. And you probably haven't done this in a while. You remember how to do it? This one's rolling in from Lord Cameron Abbott. Bang! If you want to shout out here on the Raider Sports, bam, Lord Cameron Abbott.
Is this his first bang?
His 29th. He literally goes to increase my lead. 29th bang. Well, actually, when you were away, I think.
That's one beer bong.
Yes, one beer bong. Sorry, I just saw some news pop up. The Seattle Seahawks have informed Geno Smith he will be on the roster in 2024 under his current contract. So originally there was some speculation of if he was going to have to restructure it or not. It looks like he's good. Yep. Man, that's good stuff.
All right, so this is what I'm going to do. We're going to get into this next segment.
Okay.
If we get 2 more hundreds while this segment goes,
that's a boot.
That's a boot.
That's a boot skadoo. Yikes. Lord Cameron Abbott. I kind of like the way Anthony Green did that. LCA. I see Rebel, Vincenzo, Dan Swanson, Sucker Free Raider, Free Fly. What's up, man? It's been a minute. Mr. Zon down there in the chat. Miguel Gomez. I see you.
He's
5.
Free fly like a Jedi.
Free fly like a Jedi. Coming up here on the show, we are now going to get into the NFL Combine news that has happened around the Raiders over the past 2 days. After this, I do unfortunately have to get going. We'll do the duck race. Chugs will obviously do his beer bong, potentially a boot. And then, like I said, I got to...
If we get 2 more hundreds, I don't know if we can.
Correct. I don't know if we can either. Here's the thing, though. If there's one thing about the nation, it's you just never know. You just never know what could potentially happen.
You just technical feel.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Chugs is ready. Gametime sponsor. That is correct. Coming up NFL Combine news and notes. Raider Nation, what's going on? Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up on today's show, we're going to get into all the NFL Combine news and notes that you need to know that happened February 28th, and that also happened today, February 29th. Also, we're going to get into Maxx Crosby's impact in terms of the impact he's making on players entering the draft, and also the impact that he's doing right now for the Las Vegas Raiders, because Antonio Pierce spoke about it. And again, there's a reason why he wears that C on his chest. There's a reason why he's simply built different. So we're going to roll through here. We're going to show you some players that the Raiders have met with. And this is just based on the list of names that my team, Chat Sports, who was at the Combine, has officially told me, like, hey, these guys have met with the Raiders. First name is Bralen Trice. And Trice, man, was one of these dudes that could not stop smiling and talking about how much he loved and respected Maxx Crosby. He really models his game after him and Micah Parsons. Bralen Trice, edge rusher from Washington, probably going to be a top 3-round pick, if you will. I don't know if the silver and black, though, show a lot of interest just because it's not a major need. Let's go to another name here. It's Junior Colson, linebacker from Michigan. And some people have him as the number 1 linebacker. To me, there are 3 clear-cut, maybe even 4 clear-cut linebackers that go potentially high in the draft. I don't see any linebackers going in round 1, but if you want to get your hands on him, you're probably going to have to take him at pick number 44, which is a little bit too rich for my blood. Let's go to another name here in terms of the Raiders met with at the Combine, Chris Braswell. He's a edge linebacker from Alabama, a really, really good athlete, and a source at the Combine told me that if he was a betting man, the number 1 linebacker that he thinks that the Raiders would take right now is Braswell, based off of the fact that the Raiders met with him. Also, he was working with the American team at the Senior Bowl where he played pretty well. Rob Leonard, the Raiders linebacker coach, was working with the defensive linemen, edge rushers, and was very impressed by him. Then when Braswell spoke at the Combine, he actually mentioned that he really loved what the Raiders defensive line coach has done. So, some interesting things to at least think about for the Raiders. Next name coming in here is Peyton Wilson, 6'4", 238 pounds, captain. I mean, this is like one of the most prototypical linebackers that you would look for in a Patrick Graham system. Like, he does everything very, very well. And the Raiders last year, if you guys remember, Drake Thomas, the UDFA out of NC State. If you like Drake Thomas, this is like the best version of Drake Thomas. He's like Drake Thomas, I don't want to say on steroids, but like, he's like, Drake Thomas is a Honda Civic. Peyton Willis is a brand new Lexus. Toyota F-150. But the red flag on Wilson is he does have a lot of injury concerns, which is a big red flag for Tom Telesco. Let's now go to the big boy, Johnny Newton. Some of y'all know him as Jerzon. He has indicated to everybody that he wants to now go by Johnny. He is my number 2 defensive tackle. I have Byron Murphy as my number 1 guy. Very solid player. If you take him, you're probably going to have to take him at 13, which might feel like a reach for some people. I really, though, want to see how he ends up doing at the Combine. And as I'm making this video, like, these guys are running 40. They're doing the Combine right now. Remember, linebacker, defensive tackles are doing the drills today. So just keep that in mind. If you haven't already, subscribe for more Combine news that impacts the Raiders. I've been putting out tons of shorts. Yesterday here on the Raiders Report, if you didn't watch, I put out 13 shorts on the Raiders Report of everything that happened at the Combine. What players were saying here, what players were saying here, guys hyping up Antonio Pierce. If you want Combine updates around the Raiders, make sure you're subscribed. Let's go to another name here. The Raiders are planning on meeting with Caleb Williams, and the Raiders are going to meet with quarterbacks. Like, to be honest, you get to meet with a lot of different guys. That's what the Combine is essentially made for. But the fact that the Raiders are showing some interest in Caleb is good news. However, I don't see him having even a chance to fall to... He's going to be the number 1 overall pick from based off what I hear. Another name, though, that met with the Raiders is Jaden Daniels. And when Antonio Pierce spoke about Jaden on, Wednesday, to me, when I watched the video, it reminded me of a dad talking about his kid. Like, when Antonio Pierce spoke about Jaden, you could see how excited, how happy he was, talking about how he's known him since 7th grade when he was 150 pounds soaking wet. Like, there's a different relationship with Jaden, which is why Jaden gave Antonio and Marvin Lewis a shout-out at the Heisman Trophy ceremony. Now, I just talked about Caleb. I just talked about Jaden, and a lot of times when I do this show, I say, like, hey, the Raiders probably got to trade up to number 1 to go get their guy, and I say that because you just never know what's going to happen. The number one response that I get to that usually is, well, why don't the Raiders just trade up to number 2, trade up to number 3? Well, to me, the Commanders are 100% taking a quarterback. Cliff Kingsbury, they're going to try to do everything in their power to get Caleb. The spot, though, that had a chance, at least still does have a chance, but according to Jeff Howell, who is probably one of the most well-connected insiders with New England, with the Athletic, said that the Patriots are leaning heavily towards keeping their 3rd pick and taking a quarterback. So if I think the Commanders are taking a QB, and if it sounds like the Patriots are going to keep their pick and take a QB, does that mean the Raiders have to trade up to number 1? What if Chicago says we're keeping the pick 2 and we're going to take a QB? I know we have a lot of conversations around Jaden Daniels. I have been probably the number 1 guy hyping him to Las Vegas. But there is a real possibility that Las Vegas never gets that opportunity to go get their guy. Coming up next here on the show, Maxx Crosby is a role model in many, many different ways, which probably isn't a surprising thing to say out loud to anybody that watches the show, to watches any Raiders game that follows the silver and black the entire offseason. Crosby's a difference maker on and off the field. I'm going to tell you what he's been doing. If you don't know, you need to know. Download the Gametime app, $20 off with code RaidersChat. To me, I want less stress in my life. Who wants less stress in their life? If it's you, raise your hand right now, or you can even click that like button, because to me, taking the guesswork out of getting tickets is a really, really awesome thing. Like when I want to go to an event, if I want to just spend some time with my friends, family, my loved ones, I don't want to have to worry about anything. And the reason why I love Gametime is because you can snag tickets without the stress. Buying tickets to your favorite event, it shouldn't be stressful. So when you think about it, you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code RaidersChat for $20 off your first purchase. Gametime gives fans access to last-minute tickets to the most popular events in more than 60 cities across the U.S. and in Canada. You can also get images on your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. With 2-tap buying options, you'll score tickets quickly without the hassle, skip the hassle, and enjoy the moment. Obviously, terms apply, so if you're like, Mitch, how do I get this? Then you haven't been listening. Download the Gametime app, $20 off with code RaidersChat. That link is available to y'all down in the comments and in the description of today's show. Recently, and I don't know if it's going to happen, there's a concert this weekend, and she's a really popular artist here in Dallas. And Alex is obsessed with her. And she goes, babe, can I get tickets to this event? She's, I think she's 21 years old. I can't think of her name. This weekend. Anyway, she's like one of the top artists out there right now. Her tickets are $600. I told Alex that I guarantee you if she watches them on the Gametime app, that they could potentially go under like $400, $300. Probably Olivia Rodrigo. Yeah, Rodrigo or Rodriguez? Dude, I'm not with the times. Like I'm not in with the times.
Good for you, you look happy and healthy, not me.
I think honestly what I'll do is I'll just get tickets, fake. We'll call it Olivia Rodrigo, and we'll just have you sing, because that was close. Bottom line is, though, if you know, like...
Alex would love that.
Oh, dude, she'd be hyped as all hell.
We're going to see Olivia Rodrigo, and it's just me in a red dress.
With that wig. I'll tell you what, man, that sounds like a good event. Bottom line, concerts, all that good stuff. Shout out to Gametime for sponsoring the Raiders Report. All right, so we're going to get into here to some comments that have been made around Crosby at the NFL Combine. And Darius Robinson, who's probably going to be a top 50 pick, edge rusher from Missouri, he called Maxx Crosby the best defensive lineman in the league right now. And if there was one common thing that we saw time and time again amongst the defensive linemen at the Combine, it was every single guy that plays defense wants the opportunity to play for Antonio Pierce or would love the opportunity to play for AP. The other one was, which they're not dumb, if you play next to Maxx Crosby, that's going to help out your career a lot. But it's not only playing next to him, it's the mindset that Max has. Latu, edge rusher from UCLA, said he's been looking up to Crosby, and he actually said that he can't look up to him enough. Like, if there's one guy that young players should look up to the most, it's a guy like Crosby. He also said that this offseason he plans on watching film and getting in work with Crosby this offseason. So even the fact that Maxx would consider doing that. Maxx probably looks at it as like, shit, I get to go out there and do what I love and probably get to show up a few guys. But also that he takes that time to be a teacher. Like one of my favorite things that I saw Crosby do last offseason was like literally pull Tyree Wilson aside and helped him on his footwork, helped him on his technique. Good players are good. When you get a player like Crosby that's like literally a sensational talent, arguably the greatest Raider of all time or trending in that direction, but then also wants to be a teacher, those are like the generational type of talents. Braylon Trice said that he wants to model his game after Crosby. He also said he would like to model his game after Micah Parsons, would be honored to play for Antonio Pierce. And, per Antonio Pierce is one of the things that he said at the Combine was Crosby and many other Raiders players have been putting in extra work early this offseason. Like, I don't quote me on it exactly, but I'm pretty sure AP was like, yeah, Crosby was at the building today at 6 a.m. Like, I want that, and you can say what you want. I want my guys, first guy there, last guy to leave. Like, I want my leaders, the guy that's wearing the C on his chest, arguably the best defensive player in the NFL. If he's going in there at 6 a.m., if he's doing all this extra stuff, that motivates me because, oh, wait a minute, if I want to get to that level, if I want to make millions of dollars, like that's what I got to do. It's a different type of mindset, and you can already see it. Heck, some of the players that I talked to at Media Row said, dude, I'm telling you right now, it's one of the players literally said it's a breath of fresh air just not having McDaniels there, and the report cards came out. McDaniels was by far the lowest graded head coach, and if it wasn't for that, the Raiders would have finished top 5 in the NFLPA grading system. But when you hear guys saying it's a breath of fresh air, they want to play for AP, they got the right leaders there. Crosby's doing all the right things. Coming up next here is going to be the NFL Combine news and notes that I have for today, February 29th, and today it's a lot more of the DBs, safeties, cornerbacks in that regard. If you're wondering, Mitch, how can I watch the NFL Combine? Luckily for you, if you're wondering when the Combine drills are, Thursday, February 29th, 3 p.m. Eastern time, so it's already going on at the time that I'm recording this video. Defensive line and linebackers go. Friday's your DBs and tight ends. Saturday is going to be a day that I think most people watch just because it's the fantasy football ones. It's the skill position guys plus the quarterbacks. If Raider Nation, the day that I'm watching the closest, offensive line. Like, I want to get some big uglies up there. Pierce said that if there's one thing that he believes Telesco is going to end up doing, or hinted at, I guess I should say, is that they are really going to try to build in the trenches, which is one thing that Telesco has done every single place he has gone. Let's go to some names then today that the Raiders have met with. Javon Bullard, defensive back, safety from Georgia. He also said that he would love the opportunity to play with his friend, his old teammate, Chris Smith II, who the Raiders drafted last year in the 5th round, 170 out of Georgia. Jaden Hicks, probably one of my favorite stories here for the Raiders is Hicks because Hicks grew up a Raider fan and grew up like watching this team, and you could tell when Hicks was talking about the Raiders, he was like talking about it from a different standpoint. Every single player wouldn't mind going to all the teams, but I guarantee you right now, if you ask Hicks, what's the number one place you want to play for? I bet you Las Vegas is up there because when you grew up rooting for a team, it's built a little bit different, and he's from Las Vegas. Let's go to the next name here. It's Terrion Arnold, and I had a scout reach out to me and said, Terrion Arnold's going to be the number 1 cornerback drafted this year, and what's crazy is Arnold was probably like my 5th ranked corner when this whole process began, and then he's gone up, he's gone up, he's gone up. Right now, he's my number 2 ranked corner behind Nate Wiggins. Today at the podium, again, based off of the information that I have received, was Arnold was unbelievable. He presented himself great. He's going to test really well. Like, he can do a lot of great things here for the Crimson Tide, and based off the information that I received, there's a lot of people that believe that Terrion Arnold's going to be the number 1 cornerback taken in this year's draft. Let's go to another name here. It's Tyler Nubin, another safety here from Minnesota. Talked about how he thought that his play really matched the way that the Raiders are, physicality. Did have a meeting with the Raiders. And then we got Brock Bowers, the number 1 tight end in this year's class, met with the silver and black in every NFL team. When you look at the pictures from like the podium, he was by far probably the most popular guy today, I would say, that everyone wanted to talk to. I anticipate that he's a top 10 pick. If he didn't get hurt, I would almost lock it in that he's going to be a top 10 pick. Like when I think about other tight ends that have gone in the top 10 recently, I'm talking about like Kyle Pitts, even a dude like TJ Hawkinson recently went in the top 10. Brock Bowers to me is the most complete tight end prospect that we have seen in a while. And y'all know how much I like Michael Mayer. Bowers I would have ranked higher than Mayer, But the Raiders also with Luke Getsy loved himself a tight end. If he fell to 13, it would probably be best player available. And I know I always say take best player available, but in this situation, I don't know if I'd want the Raiders to go with Bowers at 13. Another name rolling here is Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Kool-Aid was a very common name that popped up earlier this offseason around the Raiders in terms of pick 13. I don't know if he ends up going in round 1. Probably going to be a fringe round 1 player. Could be a guy that the Raiders target, though, at pick number 44. Another name, he's been shooting up the boards. He's my number 3 cornerback, Quinion Mitchell. And what's wild to me is, and it's just the way that the NFL offseason goes, I had Quinion Mitchell selected to me in a mock draft in round 3, and I was like, this guy's special. He's a difference maker. I know he went to a small school, but once you see the tape, he was the best player at the Senior Bowl, and now he's going to go in round 1. Like, no doubt about it. Mitchell's going to go in round 1. Very excited to see what his combine numbers end up looking like. So as it stands right now, at the moment that I am making this video, those are all of the players that the Raiders have met with that I have been told, that our chat sports team knows 100%. We've been able to verify based on what we know. Those are the players that the Raiders have met with. I'll do my best this weekend to be able to keep you guys up to date on other players that the Silver and Black meet with. You can follow me on IG. You can follow me on Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. Just be a little patient with me, at least tonight. Tonight's my 4-year anniversary with Alex. We're going to go out for dinner. So if any breaking news happens, just being real, it's probably going to be Chugs that's going to be on it or somebody else here from Chat Sports. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I will keep you guys up to date, pumping out a lot of videos around the NFL Combine. You got to stop. Pumping out content. Yep. Pumping out something with a C with that type of face.
I was going to say, tonight, little 1-year anniversary, there'll be some pumping out.
Yeah, fireworks. Some bang, bang, bangity bang. I mean, I like to hope so, but at this point in my relationship, there's never a night where I'm like, guaranteed. It's never going to happen.
I'm cold.
I'm tired. Play with my hair. $20 Venmo to get in our 50-50 raffle.
Unless
at Mitchell Renz 365.
Last call, because Mitch actually does have to go.
I do actually have to go. I really do have to go.
Unless anybody else sent in another 100, I'm gonna go get my beer bong.
Yeah, go get your beer bong. Jason Martinez, you sir are in. So by the time Jeremy gets back, that's when we're going to enter these names officially. So if you want a chance to win some money, we're going to do a duck race here. If you don't know what a duck race is, then man, oh man, you've been missing out. $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. Right now, you'd have a chance to win $120. It's not so bad. $120. What am I getting here? Oh boy, this is interesting. Terrion Arnold speaking about AP here a little bit. Some good stuff. I think Terrion Arnold is going to be the number 1 cornerback taken based off some of the notes that we've just been getting here. Now, I want to say we have 6 guys at the Combine. I want to say we have 6 guys here at the Combine. Ooh, actually, also, I wanted to tell y'all this here at Chat Sports. I know sometimes like people have asked us like, hey, the next time that you guys are hiring, can you let us know? If you know anybody that's interested, we are hiring here at Chat Sports, if you're interested. Now, it won't be to work with Chugs and I, but if anybody lives in the Ohio area and wants to join the Chat Sports team, exactly, you will not be doing Raiders content. You will be in Ohio. But, hey, if you know somebody that's in that area, just something to consider. You smell good. I think that's just because I've been with Trace and Chip. Chip smells like sour, and Trace smells like cream. All right. You gonna wear a mask when you do that, Corona, or no? I know, that was a bad one. It's all, I mean, sometimes it is what it is here. All right. What's crazy is I feel like you do boots quicker than what you do beer bongs.
Get in your Cullen.
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 But Cullen. All right, here we go. You want a shout out here on the show? It's good to have Chugs back. You know, I like Nate's full send. Get the full sends down in the chat. Get the full sends down in the chat right now. You ready? It's been a minute. I'm surprised you still know how to handle the Merbonga. Jeremy starts stringing it from this end.
Here we go.
Cannonball! Cannonball coming. Bang. We got JMO H. What up, live Oakland? Yoda Jenkins, Vincenzo, King Sanchez. There was a phase in my life, probably like 4 years ago, where I think I said full send once an hour. No, you don't like Corona? See, I think Corona without a lime, not that good. Like, originally, again, this is based off of me and me not knowing, I'll say good Mexican beer. Corona was like always like the first beer that I thought of. I was like, oh, I'll take a Corona. Now, if somebody were to ask me like Modelo, Corona, or Dos Equis, there's never a situation I'm taking Corona.
Yeah.
Like, never. Like, I might even take Tecate over Corona. I mean, no doubt, Dos. I'm no doubt for me, I'm taking Dos. Corona.
Sharona.
It's not that great. All right, I'm going to refresh my phone one more time, and it looks like
LA Crash Dog waking up.
Just got up. What's up, fam? Happy anniversary. Dude, your work schedule would throw me off, man. It really, really would. Chef, you are in. And then Amy, also in. All right, Jeremy, so that means 14 people. What are you doing? I have no idea. Jeremy's still on the wedding dance floor. All right, Jeremy, 14 names have been sent to you. So the recent races that we've done dirt bikes. We've done skiing. We did like clowns the other day. That was horrific. I don't recommend that one again. I'm trying to think of what are some of the races that we've done while Jeremy's gone? Jason says, I put in again, did you get me? Let me see. Here are the names that I have. The names that I have here are as followed. Justin Gilbert, I got Baltazar, Jose Corona, Randall Carter, Anthony Green, Raider Ray, Cameron, Isidro, Juan Gutierrez, Brandon Jasper, Jason Martinez, only once, Chef, and Amy. Those are the people that I have in.
I think I got to bring this back for your anniversary.
Though, Jason, I only see one, Jason. I'm just being honest with you. I only see one in there.
So we have 14 people.
14. Winner gets $140. 140 buckaroos. Phew, boy. Chugs is tweaking. Jason, I don't see it, dude. I'm going to refresh my phone again. And there's nothing there. There's only one. I only have one entry, Jason. 500 people here watching. All right, this is where this one's a weird one. It's a good race. There's a lot of love going on though. Lots and lots of love.
What's love got to
Scheffler, I need to win. I think I've joined 18 duck races and nothing. Maybe, Chef.
They said they want me to do a little chuggle shuffle.
The chuggle shuffle. I love it. All right, here we go. Winner gets $140 starting in 3, 2, 1. Go! Yeah, dude, there's just Isidro right now is just spraying people with his love arrows. Cameron put a shirt on. Raider Ray, Juan Gutierrez, but right now Raider Ray is in the lead. And then I want to say it's Randall Carter. Randall Carter starting to fall back. Anthony Green looking a little white. Jose Corona with the lead. I will say out of all the races, this might be one of the most unpredictable ones. Like,
Chef!
They're going all over.
Brandon!
Chef in the lead. Isidro's back now. Now it's Chef again. Who's going to hang on? Could it be Anthony Green? So Anthony Green out of the last 4 races that we've ran.
Chef has no chance.
I don't know. You can't count out Chef. You can't count out Chef. Out of the last 4 races we've done, Green.
Everyone's equal.
Dude, I think Anthony's got the lead right now, though. Who's going to come out on top?
3, 2, 1.
It's unbelievable, dude. We've done 5 races. Anthony has won 3 out of 5, and the other 2 he came in second place.
All right, let's see who's getting the pick.
I mean, I'll tell you what, Anthony, you got to go play Baltazar.
Butthole pick.
You get the butthole pick. Amy came in 4th. Again, though, look at Anthony.
1 and 2.
It's insane. This is the hottest streak I've ever seen. It is the hottest streak I have ever seen. I mean, Anthony, come on. Even for your standpoint.
Will Anthony fly too close to the sun?
Dude, it's, I will say, he races probably more than anybody. But at this point, I think he's won more than anybody. Mr. Green.
Quick question. Will you try the Cheesa?
I'm going to be honest. I'm not answering that. I don't know what that means.
KFC just came out with a new product. It's a chicken pizza. Fried chicken on the bottom with pizza sauce, cheese, and pepperonis. Yes or no on the Cheesa?
I'll tell you this. If I have tried to do air-fried drumsticks, ice cream drumsticks, there's at least a chance of that. There's not going to be a day.
Are y'all in or out on the Cheesa?
Like, there's not going to be a day. Also, Anthony, can you confirm that you got it? There's never going to be a day where I'm like, you know what I'm really craving right now?
Cheesa.
You got to be careful with that name. Oh, my God, dude. That is hilarious. That's hilarious. All right, man. I gotta get out of here. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in. Shout out to our February bank champion, Lord Cameron Abbott. Cameron, what I'm gonna do right now. Actually, Cameron, if you could, can you send me your jersey size? Okay, like what size jersey you would need, and then I need your shipping address. The jerseys that we do are Nike, so I'll text it to you just so you don't forget. Size and address.
Name and address.
Size and address is all I need.
Well,
the other thing is, if your name's not actually Lord Cameron Abbott, I do need your real first and last name. I mean, you never know. Believe it or not, I tried to send a package to Buddy Bear, and that's not a real name. So
they said, yep, nobody with the name of Buddy Bear.
We do have a Lord Buddy Bear, though.
We said, have you tried Lord Buddy Bear?
All right, y'all. Appreciate all y'all tuning in. The next time that you're going to see Jugs and I is going to be live here tomorrow on the Raider Sport, 4 p.m. Eastern time.
Everybody drop a fingers crossed emoji for Mitch tonight.
Yep.
First anniversary. Hopefully he gets some. Can everybody drop some fingers crossed emoji for Mitch in the comment section? It's really hoping and praying for him tonight.
Yep, you and me both.
Have them in your thoughts.
I'll text you if it goes well.
Okay.
I'll FaceTime you.
How about this? Later tonight, if you just tweet out this, we'll all know. Just tweet out a couple fingers crossed.
Oh,
we'll all know.
I don't know if I'll remember that. I will say, I am a fan of inside jokes. She would have no idea. That's like almost putting out the bat signal.
Yeah.
All right.
Only the real ones, only the 420 people and me who are watching this right now will know. You tweet out some of these tonight, we know what happened.
I got you. I see a aggressive master raider. I see you. All right, guys. Appreciate all y'all. We'll see you tomorrow. We're going to get a little bit litty-titty tomorrow. Remember, Friday, happy hour, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. From me and Chugs, peace out. Have a good night.